Hello, everybody. Hello, Ryan Maxwell, moderator Kayla. Welcome to the green room. Get yourselves ready, guys. It's when the second half is off the rails for Nancy Brophy. So just, buckle up for a show. Believe you me. She already admitted to doing all the stuff with taking apart the gun and whatnot. It's going to get wild. Yeah, don't tip it too early, Maxwell. Ryan Maxwell, that is. I was gonna spoil that in the show proper, which I still will, so we'll get to it. All right, guys, things are getting all warmed up. Oh, looks like a light. They're falling all over the place in here. Jeez. All right, I think, all the lights are on. Sounds are playing. I hope you guys can hear me now. We're listening to White Bat Audio as usual. You know how it goes, guys. We are going to be going over, once again, the second half of the Nancy Brophy cross-examination. We'll get into it. It gets a little crazy, and that being said, it's probably about time to do this.
Dog. Cat. Mouse. Turtle.
I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Dave. It's Flamingo Friday. It's FFOP Radio. Welcome to it. You heard me. Yeah, 421 subs. No longer the 420 special, right, guys? So there's that. Welcome to the show. It's Flamingo Friday. Like I mentioned, you saw it in the title card. It's Nancy Brophy, part 2. My co-host and producer, Krista, is sitting right over there off camera.
Hi.
But on mic.
Yes.
We got this nice apple vanilla thing going on. I didn't realize we'd put apple in it, but it's also a little hot. Do you blaze?
I don't think it's hot. I think it's high in alcohol. I don't think there's pepper in it.
We called it hot, so I mean...
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Was this one of the ones that we mislabeled, though?
No, I think this is one...
That I mislabeled, I should
No,
say?
it doesn't matter. No one cares. We made a oleosaccharum out of habanero and apple. That's what is in here. Anywho, Electric Boogaloo is right.
Mm-hmm.
It is pretty epic because I wasn't expecting it to be vanilla.
Yeah.
That's a nice, well, whatever. Moral of the story is, it's Nancy Brophy. So you may remember in our last encounter with Nancy, the highlights of her not wearing a bra, of her admitting that she does not, or rather she knows that the new slide and barrel doesn't fit on the old gun, or the ghost gun's slide and barrel, because the slide and barrel she actually bought separately is now
They're
gone.
obviously different.
Brophy harder. That's even better. Yeah, I would ask you, do they fit? Blah, blah, blah. So you do know. So you did try.
With a caveat.
Yeah, so she's going to be circling the drain a little bit now. We're going to, first of all, we're going to see a couple of things. Attack of the Clones. The terror has surfaced. We're probably gonna have to skim a little bit because when we last left off, they were breaking for lunch or something. So I'll let that play for a few seconds to get everybody acclimated. Because every time the jury, and it's going to happen a couple of times, the jury has to come in and out a couple of times, and every time that happens, the camera has to focus on the state seal of wherever the fuck we are.
Right,
Oregon.
and I think this part, her lawyer wanted to bring some stuff up before the defense got too far.
There's just some stupid minutia about, I forget, refresh my memory, typing square. Has the defense attorney already admonished the prosecuting attorney for being aggressive while holding a gun?
Yes.
Okay.
He was holding it, and she was like...
what's he gonna do, bitch? Like, they don't have bullets in there.
Right.
Whatever.
There was like a zip tie on one of them.
Anyway, also, I forgot. Jameson, there's his, new shark sticker right up there. Ryan, your name is still intact, obviously, even though I wanted to crush it into smithereens. But also, Ryan found this. We got this in the mail from Ryan Maxwell. It was a nice little note inside because it was an Amazon purchase. I hope you guys enjoy this. It's a great family movie. And I agree. I saw it on Channel 45 back in the day. Played all the time. Robin Williams, Shelley Duvall, classic. But then there's this nonsense about PS Day. The shoe fell off, #WollenGate 2024 from Ryan Maxwell. And that is absolute bullshit. But I do appreciate the movie.
Yes.
I felt a little bad when it came in after throwing your name down like that. But then I was like, I'm over it.
And Tony sent us a card.
Oh, yeah, you can kind of see it back there.
It's a flamingo card.
Flamingo, there's so much shit in here. Plus, now I've got a matching Toka and Razor because Razor went on sale, and there he is. Got him. So, anyway, we're gonna get back up to speed a little bit with Nancy Brof and the Brof squad, and then have to skim through all the other bullshit that's gonna happen.
You're headed in a direction where counsel is going to ask my client about what the police.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Maybe we'll do a review of Popeye after we watch. I've already seen it, so I know it's good. But Krista, like most things, has not seen it.
Evidence the police wanted and why after
true.
her arrest she didn't produce a slide and barrel to the police, and I would make
P.S. She stands and has the body of like an Elmer Fudd, or like this is a Matlock body. It's like a Matlock or Latter-day Perry Mason with a paisley shirt, and like what a choice, right? Like look at the pattern on that.
an argument against that. If we're going to go down that road about whether she didn't voluntarily produce evidence after her arrest, I have serious concerns.
But
about
she
that.
did label it for the police's benefit.
Right. Hello.
don't wanna do it in
Understand
front
the
of the jury.
objection. What type of evidence? We've heard testimony that he doesn't.
Those were my favorite type of COVID masks, were the shredder ones.
The
What
N90
happened
and
to the
N51s or whatever.
N91s or whatever. They just had that nice sharp.
You knew that the slide and barrel was important to the police. You knew that from reading the discovery, and I anticipate the next question is, even after reading in the discovery.
Thanks for coming,
the police
Kayla.
were very concerned about
Adios.
finding the slide and barrel.
Thomas.
You did not
Same
produce
pattern
it.
of the carpet. Oh yeah.
No, I know that she's
When I went
already
to
answered
the
question,
Nickel
and the fact
Palace,
she
that
said,
shit was
"I
all
have
over
no
the floor.
idea whether our
They have an old school arcade in Tucson that has carpet much like that. Now that you
slide and
mention it.
barrel is, but at this point, if we're going to pursue a line of questioning about what evidence she must produce or the jury should think she must produce
This is such
post-arrest,
bullshit.
I think is wrong. And I think it violates her rights not to even have a jury make an adverse inference regarding the production of
I'm
evidence.
grasping at straws here, Your
Yes,
Honor.
What was the question? What was the line of questioning?
I've totally forgot what was going on.
Ask her about why she didn't. Well, I don't want to disclose the question, Your Honor.
I mean, hello.
It's
Well, I
not
mean-
that. I can tell you that.
I have not seen it since childhood, Ryan. So full disclosure, I don't remember much about this shit. I mean, the only thing I know much about are like the Ninja Turtles movie and The Last Dinosaur with Richard Boone, Paladin from Have Gun Will Travel. Anyway, we're skipping ahead till after the jury comes in and all the minutia about, well, what question are you going to question her with my question? It doesn't matter.
Your Honor, what if I just
And
offer you a little
you do
key?
realize or did
Little
realize that
keys.
This slide and barrel that was outstanding was a central issue
I feel like my bot.
in this case.
Yes, probably 8 months after my arrest, I realized that.
Okay. And you understand that today.
8 months. Whoopsie. Took a while.
Now, you've testified, well, we've heard different things from your interview with the police and what you've said on the stand, that you sort of hated guns, you didn't like them, but then you became interested in them for writing, then for safety.
And then the meme made you do it.
seem to take quite an interest after that in guns. Is that safe to say?
I
With
would
a
say
caveat.
The irony is that we bought a gun to protect us, and it didn't protect us.
I'm just asking about your interest in guns.
My interest in guns were too.
God, you know that like as he was asking that long ass question, she's like, what would the writer in me say? The irony is, my good sirs, the gun we bought to protect us didn't protect us. Well, obviously, because you turned that gun against Dan. Like the thing you're trying to protect yourself with, you have to point at other people. Like you buy it and then point at the person who also bought it. Well,
All right, Thomas.
what?
So, yes, you're wrong to immediately feel bad for her. She is
God, Thomas.
like
She's in a cartoon rabbit voice.
the most
No, yeah.
narcissistic
She's a
person.
bitch. Don't worry about it. She's on this show for a reason. She killed her husband, who was an actual pillar of the community, whereas Nancy was just a usurper and a sea bag. Because, her real name isn't Brophy, obviously, because she met Dan latter day in life. So, they'd only been married, I think, less than a decade. It doesn't matter. Moral of the story is she dug them a nice, deep financial grave that they then chucked his body in, hoping that the insurance payments could pave over it with a sufficient enough block of concrete. Spoiler alert, no!
Yeah.
They got her.
Yeah.
Twofold. One is the protection, which it didn't work, and second is the writing, which has nothing to do with guns.
didn't
it has
work.
To do with gun pieces.
You said you became upset.
Her
Here's the
voice is
thing.
probably fake too.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to discount your humanity because again, we'll bring up lol cows. It's so early in the broadcast, but with the lol cows, I sometimes have a pity for them. Not Cobra ever, because whatever, I hate King Cobra. But Cyrax, for example, I feel pity towards at times because nobody on the planet, Chris Chan's the most documented, but Cyrax is the most legitimately hazardously trolled. And I sometimes go, Jesus Christ.
I was obsessed with the writing and the gun pieces. Not the
Adios,
firearms.
Ryan.
Bye.
I wasn't investigating AR-15s or shotguns or anything like
No,
that.
I was just investigating the exact kind of gun that killed my husband. So
Yeah.
get off my
A
back.
handgun
What a coincidence.
That would protect my character.
And you did a lot of research online.
Not yet.
Was your character
I've
getting
started.
threatened by Dan?
So didn't you just testify
that I started researching, that I research online all the time, but I wasn't finished researching.
Oh, so yeah, if you missed the first part or your memory is foggy, the whole part of, or rather the whole theme of the first part of this was like, I don't do research. Dan's the organized one. I wasn't writing the book. I wasn't doing any research. I saw some videos, but it wasn't very blah, blah, blah. So now we've done a complete about face because the jury had to leave and she forgot that entire story.
Yeah.
By any stretch of the imagination.
You'd been to a gun show,
Yes.
bought a gun,
Yes.
bought a ghost gun, went through that whole process.
Right.
When did you go to the gun range?
I never have been to a gun range.
Never been to a gun range.
But your ping-like
So you're doing
location,
this
That was out in the
research,
middle of
you're getting
nowhere.
ready to do this writing. You
but that was where the gun range was.
have all these people
But
around you
It sounded like
know
that.
about
But
guns and own guns and have
open beers with
even done
guns and
some
turn lights
research
on and off
themselves in their own
guns.
books. And why didn't you ever talk to Nathaniel about guns?
I have talked to Nathaniel about guns. There was a point I was
How
writing a
dare
story
you, sir.
early on, and I told him I needed a gun, a type of gun that I could have.
Here's the thing that there's, or rather, here's a problem about Nancy Brophy. Like when we watch interrogations, right, and they ask whoever asked the question, the answer, if it's truthful, is going to be like pretty quick and like, because it'll be based on a memory. So you go, blah blah blah. And if you have to stop and think about it, like Nancy does, where you go, what was that 35 seconds of like eyes darting back and forth as like you could see the gears spin? But she's also so old. Like there are people, in my life who are that old that like I ask them a normal question that has no legal ramification whatsoever, and it could take 45 seconds to respond.
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time remembering things.
The whole damn country's a shooting range anymore, brother. Brother.
That my hero used, and he gave me the name and explained why.
Big Dickington was the hero.
Well, it was probably 2010. It'd been a while before.
So in 2017, 2018, you had known for years that Nathaniel had knowledge about guns.
Yes, but sorry,
You talked to Dan's brothers about guns?
that they owned them, or at least Bill owned them.
So that's not an answer to
Did
that
you talk
question.
to Tanya Medlin and her husband about guns?
Apparently, Dan talked to him more than I did, but yeah.
And Terry Reed?
No, I don't think Terry Reed and I discussed guns at all.
What about your other writer friends, including Jesse Smith?
Jesse Smith, Salute. I probably talked.
Every case has to have someone with a bizarre name, from Shamita to Salute. Salute. Like, it seems like everybody has, or like, what the, whoever comes in, like, well, there's Emily and this and that, there's Salute, Shmita, or the suspect, like Federico Gondola, like he was the weird one in that group. He just happened to be the one that committed the crime.
Right.
Briefly
Technology,
to
right,
Linda
guys?
Smith, but I knew how she felt. And Linda Smith does not write that kind of a story anyway.
Why didn't you talk to Matt Gitchell about guns?
Well, I didn't know that he was an authority.
Why not follow up with Tony Hall, who you knew was an authority?
Tony Hall was really Dan's friend. I mean, I knew him, but I never ran into him.
Like,
Why didn't you do any research at the gun show or go to a gun store and talk to them?
Because I wasn't ready to write the story yet.
Oh,
That
right.
would have come.
Don't worry,
In fact,
that would have come.
The company that you bought the gun through, J&B Firearms, that's actually a gun store that's very close to your house, right?
It turned out to be, yeah.
oh, it turns out.
Oh boy.
Spoiler alert.
They had recommended that you go to Threat Dynamics or that gun range that we've seen a couple of times.
Gun stores are funny because they'll have one of two names. It'll be something like that, Threat Dynamics, where it'll make it seem like a business or like a very, like we're Threat Dynamics. That makes you feel like, oh, whoa, like there's something going on there. But then, like, on the other hand, you'll have things like Mike's Shooting Shack. Like, there's very few gun shops that I've been into that are in the middle. they're either something that says, we're a professional institution that's trying to make, lend some seriousness to guns. And then there's come on down and yeehaw.
I wonder what she's up to right now. Oh, man, I forgot to buy her book.
She's in the old clink. What do you think she's doing? She's probably trying to brew up some toilet wine.
Maybe.
Writing
Never
erotic
looked at that
fiction.
dynamic?
Yeah.
Never.
Prison-based now.
Never gone to the Tri-County Gun Club?
Is that the one that we keep talking about out on 26?
No.
Oh, well, no,
No.
I've never been there.
Anything else?
Can I go? Am I free to go now?
Thirsty as hell
Where
back
were you on the
here.
26th when you were out near that gun range?
Oh, on the 2 random days in March
Sup,
that we were
broskies?
talking about off and on?
Jameson, look at your
Is that
sign.
what you're asking me about now?
Yes.
Okay. Dan and I had decided that that was an area we wanted to look at. I'm driving around frequently out there trying to
Looking
to
for-
see if there's
This is
any
the public
property,
land.
anything that
For
leaps out at
public
us,
land.
anything that is all the requirements Dan has. The land has to be flat for gardening. The land has to be fairly treeless so that we don't have the shadow hanging over it. I know what he requires, and I know what I need in the house.
Isn't
You
that
know?
state land out there?
It is after,
After a
fashion, and that's why I
fashion.
didn't
I
go
love
all the
that
way
part.
out to where you're saying
After a
it was. I
fashion.
went out after fashion, came back.
After
You just
fashion.
drove out there randomly,
Like a
were
road.
there less than
I
a couple
don't-
of minutes, and then headed back to Portland? on
No,
the
I
26th?
didn't.
I don't think so.
I didn't do any of the. Wait, let's stop.
Where are
Ask
we?
your question to me again, and let me see if
On
I
the
can.
26th, the first day, I believe it was
Okay.
a Monday,
Right,
while Dan was at work,
right,
Getting murdered.
you drove out to that area,
right.
Right.
and according to cell site location information, it appears that you drove out there, turned around, and drove back.
This part's weird.
Yeah. It
I
was
don't
weird
think I
every
drove
time
that
we've heard it.
far out there. I mean,
I want to say that's the thing. Since she didn't go and do any research, because in her mind, I'm sure she's like, if I ask a question about a gun to anyone, they're going to go well, she was asking about guns while she was buying guns, and that's why she killed her husband. But now, buying 3 guns or a gun, a ghost gun, and a sliding barrel, and then couple that with the fact you talk to nobody about guns, that seems hyper suspicious.
Right.
But what I think she did was she probably went out and popped off between 1 and 4 rounds just to
Try it out.
yeah, because she didn't go to the range. She had to go somewhere to be like, okay, that's what it's going to feel like. I'll just deal with it.
Did she have, not that it matters now, but did she have ear protection when she
She's
did
deaf.
this?
Who gives that?
Did that
She's
make
wearing
her
those
deaf?
fucking earbuds because she's deaf. But I think that's what could have contributed to it as well. But that's the thing. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's part of the case. She went out there for a mysterious reason. My
Looking
guess
at
is,
property.
my guess is she only had to get a feel for it. I can't remember what the caliber was. For sake of argument, it's a 9. Not much pop in it, so she was probably like, yeah, totally easy. It's not a 40. It's not gonna be too snappy. It's not a 45 and be too bulky. Whatever. It doesn't take more than 2 or 3 shots to be like, okay, and get the idea if all you need to do is sneak into a culinary institute to kill your husband.
I mean, I know that it's out there. I know because we've talked about it.
truth is
talked
out
about
there.
it, talked about it, but
Mulder's
I have
still
never,
getting it.
ever been there. And if I had been going there, I would have gone there with Dan, and I would have gone there with. We ended up at the closest I got to it. We had 2 minutes, 10 minutes that I could have spent there. I can think if I was just going out to fire a gun at dirt, that I could have found someplace a whole lot closer to my house than driving an hour and a half to make that happen.
Accurate.
Or no, because she wanted to go super duper far away. But the crime writer in me, and I'm not a crime writer, would have left my phone at home,
Right.
right? Or literally anything that. Set up, whatever. I'm not a criminal. I'm not a detective. I'm not a writer, and I don't play a doctor on TV. But the idea that this person who touts herself as a suspense thriller and yada yada yada, doing all this research, the bare bones things that I would look at immediately, setting a routine to place an alibi, remembering that your phone pings every 3 seconds and will track you everywhere. I mean, these aren't hard. But that's it. When all your attention is focused on the dollar signs and how much money, like she got, across 2 or 3 different insurance policies, it was $1.something million.
Oh, wow.
So it would have just wiped her debt off the map, and then she can go dig another hole in Tahiti or wherever and shoot another dude in the back. But no planning whatsoever.
Crazy.
And then the things that she did plan for actually hurt her.
Right.
Because she planned not to talk to anybody about a gun. Ouch. But then she didn't not plan to leave her fucking cell phone at home when she goes to pop off a few rounds to make sure she could.
So, you knew about that gun range?
I had heard about the gun range from the J&D.
She never went there. Let's get over
That's
it.
your
I
handwriting,
think he
right?
mentions it a lot.
I
On
don't
the
know. I haven't seen that note in ages.
receipt.
Oy.
So you knew it was there, though?
And I'm not sure that is my handwriting as I'm thinking about it. I think they wrote it down.
Okay.
But I can look at the note again and tell you.
A lot of these interrogations and courtroom footage and stuff feels like the rough cut of a movie. It's every part of the script that didn't make it to the cutting room floor. But that's the thing, you only get one shot at it, so you have to turn over every rock, and it's annoying. And with the benefit of hindsight, we could edit this. But Jesus Christ, it's not like he has an ace in the hole where he's gonna be like, aha, you were at the gun club, and here's a picture of you killing Dan that you signed on your way to the gun club. But it doesn't work. So, Matt, she's hard of hearing, and she's plugged into the court's audio system so she can hear
The dude.
what's going on.
Because they are standing in front of microphones, so.
I think also possibly she's doing a low-key true crime loser cosplay.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not get lost in the weeds here.
Okay.
He says this
You
a
know
lot.
about the gun range.
Not get
know
lost in the
about gun
weeds.
range.
But we keep doing it.
Your car just happens to be out in that area on the 26th. I'm sorry, your phone happens to be out in that area on the 26th.
And what I can tell you is, Delilah Marvell's property is west of Banks. Vernonia is northwest.
Right,
The area
Vernonia.
Dan wanted to look in is this area, and I was looking, and I can tell you we've been looking for a while. You'll see if you went back and looked at my locations at the kiosk. I frequently was in that area looking, once again, property, what would work.
Thank you. I mean, come on.
I'm all over the town. Now, to
I mean,
be
the costume
perfectly
is
honest,
pretty low rent. I mean, let's be real, but it's there.
Well, my thing is
I don't remember
constantly looking at property in that area. The property doesn't move. It's always there. There's Google to see if something's for sale.
Right, but she's an old lady, and he can be like, well, whatever. I still pay with a check, and I didn't want to Google anything.
If she can research about guns, she can look up if
but
a
she
property's
can't
for sale.
research about leaving her fucking cell phone at home for the 5-minute trek out to shoot a gun.
Well, that'll leave a history.
doing any of this.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. The Google history that she had right before she went out to shoot the gun was how to load a Glock and how to clean a Glock. So when you do that first and then bring your phone with you to the middle of nowhere just long enough to, let's say, empty a clip, maybe 2, and then you come back and you go, well, I don't see any correlation. I see, people will say it's correlative, not causative. Feels causative
I'm sure
here.
I did it. And since you brought it up so often, I have seriously thought about it. But all I can tell you is it wasn't a day where I thought, whoa, this will be new and different. This was just a day. And I'm assuming the
other
reason
day.
I'm driving around out there in that area
This is gonna
is
be new and
because
different.
I look for property. This is not a situation where I have a clear memory of it. This is a situation where if I was out there on 2 random days in March, then what was happening was I was probably looking for property. And that is my best guess.
They're random
Didn't you
without
have lunch
context.
with someone that day
I could have. I don't remember.
in Portland?
I have no idea. I
mean, this was years
let's
ago.
Go back. Let's look at the records. I can probably reconstruct, but
I can probably take the evidence that you have and some sort of massaging effort to make it seem like I'm not a murderer.
With a
but
caveat.
it's not gonna work.
where does it say I had lunch?
Didn't you go to Nicholas's restaurant in Northeast Portland on Broadway on the 26th?
Okay, I could have.
This is how I would
Okay.
want Krista to act on the stand. Like if I got shot in the back and she were accused of murder, I would want her to throw like nothing but like bitch attitude toward the prosecuting attorney.
I go there frequently. I have a friend who really likes to go there, and we frequently meet and talk about writing there.
And who were you?
Oh God,
Well,
you're right.
Somebody who hasn't testified. It's a woman named Marilyn
Like
Hill.
pre the
Marilyn
slide.
Hull, Hull.
So on the 26th, you get up, you Google how to load a
Be smart. Act smart. That's all I got.
Glock 9mm. You drive out to an area that.
Wait,
happens to
I
be-
don't know
9
that I
mil, there we
did
go.
that,
Yeah.
but if you say I did, I'd like to see that. But I could have. I mean, once again, I am messing with gun pieces.
This is the
you know.
worst fucking
I
defense.
am not
I just
messing
don't
with,
remember.
Research.
This broad is just listening to Milkman Manatee on those headphones.
Oh, you think so? You don't think she's like a social distortion fan?
Oh my
or
God.
she's like rocking some bad religion in there, but maybe that's why she's like, huh?
I'm not messing with, so I could have put that in that morning if I had some spare time, because I don't think I gave up the gun research until the beginning
But
of
the gun
April,
research that never
when
started.
I knew I had to get back and finish my other story. Part of the problem is
Just
if
listen to
you
your own
don't finish
audiobook.
the story
Oh,
you're
yeah.
on,
Yeah, she's getting all juiced up over her own writing. And P.S., her writing is shit. I mean, I've read samples of it. It's shit.
and you have story pieces everywhere, and
It's just that old brass
know,
band
people
stuff
say,
we
"What's
listened
the
to when
most
we were
difficult
giving
thing
it to
about
Kaiser
writing
the
a book?"
Kaiser.
It's finishing the book. You have to force yourself to finish it. When you've written yourself into a hole, it's real easy to see a new idea.
You
out
put
there that
yourself
would
in
be
a
more
hole
interesting.
yourself.
You have to go back and force yourself. So yeah, I had a few months where I flirted with guns, but real frankly,
Flirted.
my goal was to finish the book I was on.
Tally ho.
Okay, so March, you are doing research at that point.
I could be, yes,
And can we go ahead and put up States Exhibit 82?
sure.
Here's the
Sure.
thing. All she has to do is turn and look at a monitor and also a screen that is also projecting the same thing. She's going to throw her mask on just for the fuck of it. We're talking about her
Go there
holes.
to March 26th,
I think he walks over there.
10:13
Nope,
a.m.
not in this
Do you
one.
see that?
Oh, maybe just in case.
Searching.
Here we
loading
go.
a 9mm Glock.
Ah,
Okay.
ooh.
Immediately after that, searching, cleaning a Glock.
Is she whispering to
Okay.
them?
And then you get in your car
Okay.
You drive out for
Drive out
5
to an
minutes.
area that has now been established as where that Wolf Creek gun range is.
I don't know why I put this back on.
Oh, her mask.
Okay, but I can guarantee you that I wouldn't have gone that far, and the reason why is because that's all forested land, and it's higher elevation than what Dan wanted. But
Right, but that's like BLM land would be the perfect place to like drive out and pop off a
Right.
few rounds. Because even if someone did hear you, by the time they gave a fuck and started looking, you'd be back
gone.
in the car.
At
Flirting with guns.
Starbucks.
Yeah, she stuck a revolver into her cell, and I think you know in what pocket.
How you doing?
I'm not going to tell you I wasn't out there because I probably was.
Well, you
know,
obviously
got
were.
Video that shows my phone visited it.
And you're out there for
And again, here's the thing: like, why he's bringing up the gun range because it's out there. It's the gun range is like, oh, it's right out there, right out there. Even if it was, she wasn't there. She was out in the area for 5 minutes. That would take longer to get into a gun range and sign up, and like it
Go
would
through
take you
that
longer than
safety
5
class?
minutes to get into a room or like on the range.
Right, because I remember when we shot for the first, when I shot for the first time, we had to like sit in like a class, not a class, but like a video.
And that's the thing. Whatever. Yeah, her body language doesn't scream innocent, right? It's like, give me your fucking manager to the prosecuting attorney.
BLM land, please, because my father's in the house. He'll have a heart attack. If you think they got like,
Oh my.
damn. It's a drive-by
no
gun
time at
range,
all
Dave.
to
Oh,
basically
yeah.
turn around and
Pew pew pew.
Yeah, it's like a quarter mile of the road where like they just scan like a little ticket that they have in your car.
Yeah, you,
and then
like,
can
push
just
it, like, the
shoot
meter.
out the window. That's not highly illegal, I'm sure.
drive straight back into
It's
Northeast
wherever they
Portland.
are. Where is she
That
from?
could be.
This
could
is
be
like
that,
this is the Pacific Northwest.
That could have happened. I drive a lot. Rachel.
Oh, was this Texas?
I also drive a lot.
No, this isn't Texas. This is fucking Oregon. They're in Seattle, maybe in Washington. They're in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay. I'm
For
gonna look it up.
meditation, for work, for
Because her accent Is not Pacific Northwest.
She's not from there. She is from Texas or Georgia or wherever. As she grifted across the United States, she just ended up with Dan.
What does that have to do with what we're talking about?
You're saying you drove around 2 random days in March. I'm saying my best guess is I was looking for property. But my best guess could have been I was still filling a plot hole too. Are you following me? Then I don't know what I was doing. I'm doing
Freedom
what I
of
regard
movement in this
as
country.
great possibilities of what I was doing.
Do you think that Nancy was flirting with the idea of like being a sovereign citizen, like Daryl Brooks tried to do?
So you have a nice lunch.
Her maiden
go
name was
home.
Crampton.
There you go.
The next morning, you get up and do the same thing.
Crampon.
Okay,
Dan's at work again.
okay.
Drive
Okay.
out to the same area,
Your dead husband. Okay.
Okay.
exact same area, but you're there for longer.
Okay.
If it's that
I
though.
recall the testimony that I've heard.
I'm asking if you recall.
No.
Barbara
no. These are two
Crampton.
I drive all the time. I don't think about this. I drive when I'm thinking
I don't think
the
about this.
story.
I drive when I'm thinking. I
when
think when I'm driving,
working.
but I don't think about
work
driving.
all over this whole area. No, I don't recall 2 random days in March that I was just driving around.
He likes
I can tell you
girls.
for sure I never went to the
Kind of
gun range.
want to write bad fanfic of her and send it to her. Something like Grandma and the Ghostly Ghastly Ghost Gun.
Right? Like, they can't, criminals can't profit off of works of art that they produce, but like, whatever. Why aren't any of these fucking sycophants who are paying Gypsy Rose a legitimate AKC papered murderer, like convicted or whatever, allegedly, if they're going to sue me. But like, you can get a cameo from someone who, like, at the very, very least, got someone to straight up murder her mother, and then they had sex in the bathroom as the body rapidly cooled. And you could pay her $100
Yep.
to be like, come on. I would give Chris Hansen $100. I would not give a fucking murderer.
Yeah, I've got issues with her, and that would be like a long episode if we did.
Whatever.
something on
Here's the
Gypsy
thing.
Rose.
I don't follow her because you like her. Follow her or because you hate her. It doesn't matter. Stop giving her attention. She's that's the thing. Where are all these people crying out for criminal justice? And like, oh, well, whatever. But then they come out and they're like fucking celebrity status.
Yeah. Well, she's celebrity status because, she shouldn't have been. All the people that follow her or like respect her or whatever they don't think she should have been in jail to begin with.
Fosco would take the Casey Anthony parenting classes. That's a solid choice, my friend. But whatever. Here's the thing. I don't really care one way or the other because it doesn't fucking matter. She's got quasi-celebrity because humans will come and gawk at fame or infamy.
Right.
So, we've progressed zero, even though we like to keep behind closed doors now, whereas before we'd all get into a coliseum and watch people rip each other to shreds or watch a dude get, ripped apart by 7 bears. Now, we'll just pay the person who did all the murdering to, give us a shout out and be like, happy birthday! Like, her mom is fucking murdered.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, here's happy birthday from the internet's cutest murderer. I fucking can't stand it. I'm glad,
Would it
Matt. Thank
surprise
you.
that that's the only 2 times that your phone, as far back as the phone records go, that we have.
If Gypsy Rose transitioned into a lol cow, I would be on board. Slightly, because she'd still be milking people for donations and I wouldn't be great about it, but at least, I would feel whatever. Well, it doesn't matter.
When you head out that way, that's the only time you don't go all the way to the coast?
No, that can't possibly be true. And the reason why that can't possibly be true is because I have a
I don't think she's a lol cow because she has mainstream fame.
Right.
That's the problem. Is if to be a lol cow, you have to have a dedicated following of trolls that evoke a what would you call it? An expected response. Like people send DoorDash to Cobra so he'll eat cat food, or so that he'll make a food combo out of
Sweet food combo
like
tubes.
squid or whatever. And so, that's what lol cows get milked for the things that they do. Cyrax, it's rage. For Christian, it's insanity. For Shani, for Christ, it's rage. For
But they
Foodie
they
Beauty,
get
it's whatever.
both. They get the pay pigs and they get the
Right, but
trolls.
that's the thing. it's
She
the
just
economy.
gets the pay pigs.
What's the trade-off? Like, yeah, because like even Cyrax makes money, even though no one likes to talk about it. They're like donators to Cyrax.
Yeah.
And you know that Gypsy Rose is making money, and for no other reason than like, that's the thing too. You can say, well, like, if anybody's earned it, it might be her, because if you have to spend your life pretending to be sick at the behest of a mentally ill parent.
I understand that all of her circumstances when she was younger and growing up were terrible.
Here's the thing that I think is the most disgusting part.
She should have killed her own mother herself.
That, but also she's like become like one of those Mary Kay Ashley figures. Like when I was growing up, every pervert I knew was like, there were clocks on the internet counting down the minutes until Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen were 18.
Right. Yeah.
That's what this feels like. It feels like there's a bunch of thirsty dudes out there who can like swallow the fact that she's a murderer because like they're, sycophants.
Yeah. Let's make a little cow checklist. 1, must have a suspended license.
Or never have one in the first place.
2, must be a lousy cook.
Or not cook at all.
3, unshowered. That goes without saying.
Match, right?
A lot of clients in.
Yeah, I shower every fucking day, sometimes twice a day, dude. The scabs on my head, I don't know where they come from, but
Hey,
it's not the shower.
Cobra's getting it now, so he might shower at least once a week.
I think he's only showering because she's there, and it's only probably happened once or twice on like Ritual. They're probably both doing it because I'm sure they don't, like Naked and Laughing or whatever her name is, Jessica and Cobra, probably don't shower more than once a month normally. But since they're like banging each other and trying to keep up this facade and having to go live, they're like, because Cobra's hair has never looked like less disgusting. And even though it only covers 30% of his head, it looks like it might cover 50 when it's washed. Addicted to going live, yeah.
Horrible parents.
Absolutely. Or at least inept.
And I would have gone out to see them, if nothing else, during Medicare season. I have clients, I drive all over. I love Vernonia. I think it is a charming little town. But
I'd kill to go there.
But that does not mean that that could possibly have been the only times I was out there that I didn't go to the coast.
Do you agree on the 26th and 27th you didn't go to Vernonia?
I don't remember going to Vernonia, but your records show that I didn't go to Vernonia, and I'm willing to believe you.
Ready and willing, with a caveat.
I believed I didn't kill Dan. It's a weird thing to say.
I want to talk about
we're going to start the eye motions over to her attorney.
Again, yeah, let's bring that back.
Jesus Christ, it gets really heavy.
Yeah.
Dan's routines.
Okay.
We've got a lot of testimony in this case. I think you'd agree that he held a pretty strict routine. Is that correct?
Yes.
Whatever it was, whether it was what time he
I mean,
left for
depending on
work
when the
or-
question was asked, it was either
Depending on
strict
the
or
day,
loose.
he held a
Depending on the
strict
day.
routine depending
This
on.
is like very Sarah Boone with like 6:30-ish or like ish. Like, I don't know why you think like an extra 30 minutes on this side or that will be like, oh, well, with that extra 14 minutes, of course you couldn't be a murderer.
what his schedule was for the day.
I think you testified that within a 30-minute window, is pretty much he got up at the same time every day. Didn't matter if he was going to work.
That's absolutely true.
What time was that?
It was between 4 and 4:30.
That he
Yikes.
would wake up. Okay. And
Fuck
I think
that.
You testified too, and I know you told the police that he walked the dogs, take care of the chickens,
Big yo-yo fan Dan was.
sometimes go get you coffee. That was
Duncan
pretty
champion.
routine for him. Okay. Anything else?
He frequently, if he needed to do something like go to Wojimaya in the morning, he would do that. He did shopping for his class or for whatever he was doing, usually early in the morning.
Okay.
He worked in the garden early in the morning.
It sounds like you two kind of did your own thing during the day. Like he would go to work, you had your things to do. Like you would have.
Like you would wake up, go get coffee, get back into bed, write, drive around, preparing for writing, doing
All
zero
braless.
research, but buying lots of guns.
Meet clients, things like that. But you didn't work together.
That's not true. We
How
frequently
dare
worked
you?
together.
No, you didn't. He was a cook.
You worked at OCI?
No, but we worked together on different things.
Like in our marriage, we would work together to keep our marriage together.
Right. If somebody asks, okay.
Do you
so
work together? Yeah, we live in the same house, and
Right. If somebody asked me, do you and David work together?
no.
We have different jobs. We're 50 feet away from each other when we work, but we have different jobs.
Yeah, like you can answer a favor for someone and not be employed by their, like, I don't know. All the nitpicking and like the obfuscation seems like for no reason other than like Nancy's too stupid to like understand what's relevant and what's damaging, and he's too cautious to like leave literally anything out. And so all of this like like it like as a jury member, if I were just sitting here watching this act of like her just be a bitch to a man like that she just met at a bus stop that they're having a political disagreement, like that's exactly what this feels like. You forget Dan's dead and was shot in the back.
Yeah.
If he had a class outside of OCI, for example, I might take things down to him. I took things down to OCI for Dan
Clock in for that shit.
3 to 4 times a month because he would get.
Whoa, how did you
Wow.
survive?
Once a week.
So we worked together in terms
The
of
partest of part-time.
doing things, but not necessarily on projects. Am I being clear?
Not really.
Exactly.
Not
so
really.
When you
Fucking and then like, oh, can you believe this bitch? Defense attorneys, he's treating me like I'm a criminal.
What up with that?
Am I clear? Not really. Oh, well, shit.
would you say that generally you knew where Dan was?
Yes. Yes, I would say that.
And in general, would he know where you were?
In general, he would know where I was.
You guys would communicate.
Can I get a Clorets back there?
Going
Jesus.
to work, or I'm coming home, or whatever.
Yes. Or, I sold a policy, or
Yay.
the dogs are.
So anything you say now, Nancy, can be categorized as whatever, because that's a pretty big catch-all. So like whether you're at home or work or whatever, and whatever is literally anything else. So the fact you can be like, yeah, like when all the examples you're going to bring up fall into the whatever, needless.
or having an issue, or whatever. We were in constant
whatever is right. What anything other than that, whatever.
And in general, I know it depends on what kind of stuff is happening at OCI. On the weekends, did Dan generally leave around the same time?
Oh God, here's another fucking toilet bowl swirl. Yeah.
control. Did Dan leave around the same time every day? No, it would depend on what his schedule was.
That's what I just said.
He just said the weekend, bitch. He just said the weekend and not the artist.
If he was working weekends, he left at a different time. If he was working days, he worked at a different time.
Listen to the question
If he
again,
was
Nancy. He'll
going
tell you.
mushroom hunting, he left at a different time.
Listen to the question. The question is, on the weekends,
There we go.
Alright.
when going to OCI,
Right?
did he generally leave at the same time?
Two highly specific qualifiers and then a very specific question, to which the answer was no. It would change every day. Sometimes on the weekends he would, what?
I would say within a 30-minute window, yeah.
And on June 2nd, did you expect for him to leave earlier that day because of the live fire?
It wouldn't have surprised me for him to, but Dan was always prepared.
That wasn't the question.
Dan took being a Boy Scout to heart.
Did you
and
expect
he was
it?
always prepared. We went to a party.
Not
for some-
would you have been surprised by it?
Let's talk about this party.
I wasn't going to be surprised by it, so I wasn't. Oh, cool. Well, back to the question I actually asked.
Buddy cut themselves with a knife. Who had a medical kit? Dan. He was Mr. Prepared. So
I murdered
he could
him.
have left earlier. He could have been
Didn't
well
wear
enough
Kevlar.
prepared that he didn't need to.
And in preparation for that live fire, he actually took 2 carts down to the school the day before, correct?
That wasn't in preparation for the live fire. He took
Okay.
He took 2 carts down because he does that every weekend.
Gotcha.
Objection, relevance.
I hate to commit to every Friday. He does it every week.
Sure.
But
Yeah, he was always prepared. Not
If your
enough.
fucking batshit wife, who's like, and maybe, he probably didn't know, and God bless his soul, he probably didn't know that she had just ruined both of their existences, and the only way out was his death. But like, Jesus.
Yeah,
When
no, you
was
were
the
aware
fence
that
started?
he did that Friday, June 1st.
I was.
Okay. And Dan generally parks on 17th in front of the Culinary Institute.
No, I think he parks there a fair amount, but he also parks on Madison. He rarely uses the lot because he's one of the
I mean, not
lucky people who have a
anymore.
parking sticker.
He can park on
Been
the
like
street.
3
Yeah,
years.
and he parks wherever he parks.
at this point.
I mean, I don't think he has assigned parking or even his idea of assigned parking.
Which
Does
is
it make
what?
sense to you, though, that when he is bringing things to the school, that he would park on 17th so that he could unload and load into the school?
That would make sense.
All of this seems extra pointless when like the prosecuting attorney starts whipping out screenshots and video evidence of her driving her van to the murder scene at the time of the murder. So like all of this, the gun rage out there, spending 5 minutes is swearing never been there, like on the Bible and on the Quran and on the Torah and on the Bhagavad Gita. You swear at all the holy books, you've never been there. Like you've got video evidence of her driving her stupid little van right up to the place where her husband was shot.
Right.
Like, do you want to talk about what she had for breakfast? Like, does she like the English beans on toast? Like, do we fucking care?
Didn't she go to Starbucks?
She
But I
may
would
have paid
also say when
cash.
he and the
No, she killed her
Starbucks
husband.
across the street were doing 5-gallon buckets of coffee grounds. He parked on Jefferson so he could deal with that.
You stated that you knew that the doors would usually be locked at the school. Is that true?
The doors were always locked. As far as I know, I don't know of an incident where anything but the student door would have been opened, that people could have gone in and out.
So, do you think that just a random stranger, according to your story, so you just think a random stranger like somehow knocked on the door and someone let them in, not knowing who they were, and they just killed Dan, stole nothing, just
And
shot
left.
Dan 3 times in the back and left? Possibly once in the front, so he got to see his murderer, Nancy herself. Like, imagine that. It'd be one thing to be like working and to feel like 2 gunshots, and like as the life drains from your body, you turn around and see a complete stranger, or at least someone
Right.
you hated.
Yeah.
But to turn around and be like Nancy as like the life drains from your body, the Pet Cemetery.
We'll talk about the school.
I wouldn't go up that road, Brophy.
You sort of mentioned this. Actually, I think you did mention it. That Dan always had cash.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just kind of the guy he was? He liked to deal in
He
cash.
was a cash
as opposed to
guy.
The
cards,
guy he was.
credit cards.
He
If you asked Dan's friends, would they say he's a cash guy?
operated with cash, and so he needed a lot of ones because of the cart. So
And the
he
strip clubs.
frequently would have little money bundles of ones at home from either money
So
he'd
did he give
made
you
off the
400
cart
ones
or
to buy
what
that
have
gun?
you. He operated with cash more, but it was largely for the cart.
Right. And
Right.
it's true that he often didn't even know how much money was in his own account, right?
So, like, to say, like, maybe he made a bad choice and married a fucking idiot who dug a financial grave for him that then they tried to throw him into. Like, he wouldn't know, would he? Like, he didn't even know how much money was in his account,
Yeah.
let alone if his gold digging wife was literally ruining his golden years that he would then be robbed of. Would he know that, Nancy? You think he would figure that out? Was Dan a detective?
He would always sell our
Dan was
car
more
to Cars for Kids. He was putting us in the
I wouldn't say
poorhouse.
he didn't know how much was in his account. I would say it differently. I would say
1-800
Dan
Cars for
had
Kids. I
certain-
remember that.
The
Jane.
reason why
yeah.
we broke up our finances the way we did was because his expenses were much more routine, and he could figure out his money.
Right, because he was just buying stuff to like indulge his hobbies while you were blowing through all of his money. Like he wanted to pick mushrooms and harvest eggs, and you wanted to go and like bake your pasty ass under the Tuscan sun.
But she was
Honey,
also an
based
insurance
upon the
broker
fact
for
his check
Medicare.
was
Which
much
did-
more routine
allegedly.
than my
She
life.
was, but
But
like
he
they
would
didn't
actually
make shit.
reach
They were
out
still
to
in
you
debt
to
because she
ask
was
you
spending all their money.
The check had been deposited, right?
Yes, he occasionally he would call me and say, "I need you to look at the bank account and tell me this or that."
Do we have crippling debt, Nancy? No. Okay, cool.
Subject. I don't know if you want to.
All right, let's go ahead and take our morning break then and be back on the record at 10:45.
Nancy, can you look a little less over at your defense attorney so the live stream will continue? Takes a very long time. I don't.
Probably a 15-minute break.
Whatever. Here we go.
One of the exhibits that I'm going to want to talk to my client about on redirect is, what's the exhibit number?
Help me out.
Susan, yeah.
Does it look like they're a couple?
I think that's just her protege. They're younger.
I would, can,
This, but right, but I whatever.
Possibly.
It's
though.
obviously just a joke, but this does feel a little bit like the Amazing Randy and his young protege.
I would like to show the court right now Defense Exhibit 212.
My paisley shirt. Huh? Huh?
Hey, look at that.
Text
Did you
from
kill Dan?
Brophy
Got it at
to
Ross.
Nancy
$39.
Brophy, asking her whether she's tackling Susan's room with, I think, with abandon. Counsel had asked Ms. Brophy on cross-examination why they hadn't cleaned up the house before Dan died. And so I want to talk to her about this texted question because it sets the time in which he's actually trying to clean out Susan's room, which is the second bedroom downstairs, which happened on March 4th of 2018.
Got a parasaur in the
I'm
audience.
trying to follow. There were some questions
This
about
poor
whether or
judge.
not they had cleaned up to prepare to sell the house before his death. What is the relevance of this?
The relevance of
Good
this is
question.
asking Ms. Brophy whether she's attacking Susan's room with
This whole case in a nutshell, was that question.
What's the relevance
What is
here?
the relevance of this? Like, this poor judge probably, milk toast and mild mannered as he is. I feel like none of us are immune of human emotions. So even though I am incapable of masking mine, there are some people like this judge who are probably like, oh, well, I'm irritated, but, what's the relevance? Like,
Yeah.
and he just has to like sit there and deal with this as they go, well, what about the gun range? And like, I'm going to ask her about this question on redirect.
And it's
like,
kind of like the way Shabusiness's lawyer, or not lawyer, judge was, because he was very mild mannered with everything, but he was he gave his, judgment on everything, but he was just like, okay, well, this is
so,
this,
like,
but I'm going to say that no.
right. This is also like, I don't understand what's going on. And I get it because like in like business or law enforcement or government or whatever, we have to like talk to each other like we're somewhat robots. But on that level, we have a little bit of a disconnect because every other place we go, we're talking to each other like normal human beings. So when we all have to sit and are forced to use these weird verbiage and vernaculars, it's just like, what do you actually want?
Right.
What all I want them to do is be like, here's what I want, Judge, in plain English. Be like, can we do this? And he'll go yay or nay.
Let's talk
but she
about
has to
this.
go, well, I have questions pertaining to the dates surrounding the relevancy of the actions on the
Yeah.
whatever.
That's all that crazy legal jargon.
Holy fuck. And then nobody on this planet can sit through that for as long as he have and not go like, what?
That's why
Well,
he
she
gets
is.
paid a lot of money.
reckless abandon. And the date of this text message is March 4th, 2018, at about 12:30 in the afternoon.
Okay, so your argument
she's not
is
even
that
there.
rebutting a
Who? She's on the
contention
stand. She's by
that
her
they weren't
little
doing
lawyer.
it
Oh, she's sitting over there. Oh, okay.
therefore-
Yes, and I want to show that to my client and ask her what she was doing in Susan's room
Just hanging out.
on
Okay.
March
Was it
I
with
think I'm- I
reckless
think I'm
abandon,
following
etc.?
that.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's the state's position?
I don't give a
it's
fuck.
stupid.
Relevancy objection and a hearsay objection, but also Dan asking. I mean, Miss Brophy could certainly say on redirect, or she can clarify on cross if she wants, that they were in fact getting ready to sell the house, and one of the things they were doing was cleaning up that room. What Dan's asking about attacking the room without any context whatsoever, what does that have to do with Ms. Brophy's testimony?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
A great question.
I think it's the question which isn't hearsay because it's a question. But it's tethered to this specific time and date.
I love that. Huh? Well, he looks over his little aide there and he's like, what the fuck?
I understand, and she'll answer the question, which will provide the context. So I will allow this. Are you asking to admit this? Or
Okay.
show it to her. And
I
let
want
her
to show it.
answer?
What are we doing here?
I think that.
Are we trying to
the
figure out what the
date and
word
time of
attacked
this
means in this
question
text?
Is admissible to corroborate Ms. Brophy's testimony that yes, they were cleaning out the house before, and one of the
And
first
yes,
things
they
she
did have
was to
reckless
clean out
abandon.
Susan's room, which was the second bedroom downstairs, and this
I
is
don't
also
know.
Susan.
I don't know.
I think it's the
that
niece.
Jack Brophy had declared was filled with Dan. I think it was Dan Brophy's. Was it debris? It was just Dan
Debris.
Dan debris.
Dan debris.
So he'd already
You know, this lawyer drives an Oldsmobile.
Uh-huh.
And not a Buick, an Oldsmobile. The things they stopped making 10 years ago,
reference that, and
maybe
I
15,
want
maybe
my
20.
client to talk about what was going on months before Dan died. But I think that the date stamp on this particular text message
interesting.
is relevant. It came off of Dan's phone.
It says the word
question that
attack.
He's asking is not a hearsay because it's a question, and I want to be
It's a
able to
question.
corroborate
It's a
and
question.
bolster Ms. Brophy's testimony
Do you
regarding what was
blaze?
happening in that time frame.
All right. Did you want to add anything more, Mr. Overstreet?
Well, first of all, the idea that a question can't be hearsay is not true. Questions can be hearsay. In fact, it is.
In another dimension, their version of Stanley Steamer is Dan Debris.
Yeah, the bizarro world version of Stanley Steamer's Dan Debris, where they come in and fuck up your carpet with like dirt and dog shit and stuff.
The truth of the matter
Bits of
asserted that
leaves.
They were cleaning the room. That's what the question is, and that's what they're offering it for. So therefore, it is hearsay.
And what's the
All right.
point?
So
He's not
Seriously.
dead yet, so why is this even
I would agree
relevant?
that questions can be hearsay. I'm not sure that this one is, but in any event,
It may not be hearsay, but what's the point?
I'm gonna allow this in. I don't know that this particular question is hearsay because if you just read it by itself.
It's moments like this you go, God bless America and its criminal justice system, that the person who in desperation, in a situation created by their own selfish needs, can make an action that changes their life, the person who they've killed's life, and everybody's lives around them. We can then sit 4 years after the fact and be like, well, what is the relevancy of a question regarding a bleh? And how many people are like, hey, Dan, what do you think about this? He's fucking dead.
Yeah.
But we get to sit here and dance around the mulberry bush with Nancy, even though he gets zero appeals, he gets zero consideration because she made that fucking decision for him.
Yep. This courtroom has wood.
Oh, it always.
Tons.
All the
So-
best courtrooms get
I don't
wood.
know if it's a statement really of anything. I don't even know if one could even understand.
What's the
what it
fucking
means,
point of this?
without the context that.
Right, like you destroying the room? Are you cleaning the room?
I'll allow the question.
Is it a remodel?
And the
This is
admission
why
of
I
this
couldn't be a judge,
text.
because I think I'd let near anything, and after they start yapping,
Right.
I'd also be taking naps and smoking dope during the breaks. Couldn't be a judge, brother. Yeah, no.
The problem is, like, if you wouldn't, you may have the same problem I do. Is like half of the reason I grew this beard is because I thought it would hide my emotions from people, but it doesn't, because there are some people who just, when you've got something going on up here, it plays right here.
I don't think it plays on your whole face. It plays on your eyebrows.
Right, that's the problem too. Is like your eyes are what will give you away.
When
Like,
when David gets annoyed, when we're like in a checkout line at a store or something, he will his eyes will tell me literally everything, and I'm like, we need to get out of the store now before someone sees his face and is like, it's gonna go down.
Right, because that's the thing. It's a skill that I wish I possessed. Like people who have the ability to mask their emotions. I don't know. I cannot be inauthentic unless like the stakes are really high or unless the stakes are really low.
Right.
But in everyday situation, I'm like, Jesus.
Shave your eyebrows. You'll be beautiful like the Mona Lisa.
I was gonna say Whoopi Goldberg.
Goldberg.
Yeah. I don't know.
He does this. I can tell his annoyed face when we're out in public, and I'm like, oh man, we gotta go. We can't be here anymore. David's annoyed. We gotta go.
And that's the thing. You just whatever. I mean, the point of it is,
It's not a bad trait because then people will avoid you. Sometimes.
Right, but it also can be taken any number of ways because large reactions are going to give large impressions.
Yeah.
I feel like I burn a lot of bridges or like come off way too strong to people because I do have one of those.
Do the eyebrow.
Or like the inability, maybe it is, to be like, just sit there and like intently listen to someone without reacting facially, which then makes people like wig.
David's like Bruce Banner. I mean, the Hulk is his favorite.
Well, like when we went to some Halloween party and we went as Calavera, like Dia de los Muertos skulls, and we painted up our faces or whatever. And like, I don't know, everyone was gathered around and be like, oh, well, look at this guy's face, like as he was talking to people. And I was like, maybe never do that again. But yeah, whatever.
The beard starts twitching and the mustache goes all Yosemite Sam.
Suffering succotash, I say.
Yeah. Since I have no idea, sort of preparing for the inevitable.
I have literally no idea what's going on.
We're day 22 in this. You're obviously guilty.
I'm not going to hold anyone to this.
We're going to watch a little more of
much longer do
the
you think
seal here, so let's just skip ahead.
Yeah.
Bing, Oregon, there we go. Not
Yeah,
Washington.
no, it's Oregon, yeah. I'd love to see
Mrs.
Oregon one
Brophy,
day.
Can have you retake the stand.
It's okay.
You've been there?
I've been to Washington. I imagine they're probably similar. Because the producers thought that Bruce was too gay. Seriously? Oh, maybe back in the 70s I can see that. David Banner. I always wondered why they changed it from Bruce to David, but because David's my name and I just took it as cool. Too gay.
Dead serious.
I can't see it.
There's a Freddie Banner.
Can you see this board that's literally 4 feet in front of you? I can see it. Thank you.
Let me know when you're ready.
Starbucks.
I'm ready.
Got the Clorox wipes there.
Fucking ready.
A
Let's
single
do
hole
it.
punch? What the fuck is that doing there?
Oh, you know.
She stamping tickets on a
Talk to you
train?
about,
She's got to punch holes in her novel.
familiarity with the Oregon Culinary Institute.
Okay.
And I asked you if you could see States Exhibit 1. And that's what you were saying. Yes, you can see that, okay? Okay. Does that look familiar to you?
Hangman.
Yes, it does.
Your dead brother's
How
murder.
many times would you say you visited the Oregon Culinary Institute?
Like,
Hundreds.
right. Like, hello, he works there.
Have you
Right.
been to most areas of the building?
I have been. And before it was ORCI, it was a division of
ORCI.
Western Culinary. So I have been there many times.
My
Is
orifice.
that where you? That's not the building that you went to culinary school, though.
No,
correct?
it's not.
Okay. But when it was
Murder says
Western
what?
Culinary. you
Hey, Hamburger.
What's up, Hamburger? Welcome.
We
Now
need
we've
to
missed
talk.
you.
We need to talk about the
Shit.
recent Sarah Boone letter. Have you done it yet? You should
Do
do
you
it.
think you've been there hundreds of times? Is there any area that you haven't ever been in?
Kitchen
Have you
3.
ever been to Kitchen 4? Ooh.
You can use the pointer there if you'd like.
All right.
Have you been
Please-
to Classroom D?
Please tell me you've never been out of fire exit only, because that would be breaking all the rules.
This area, it's not that I don't know that classroom, it's that I've really never been in there. And this little closet area in here.
I've never been in that closet.
Yeah, no.
This became
Everywhere
a
else, though.
classroom later.
She's never been in Classroom D.
I've certainly
Never
been
got the
in
D.
empty space.
Oh, that's sad.
Other than that, I would say no.
When you would,
It's not a
come
very
down to
big
the Culinary
institute, right?
Well, there's been some testimony that you used to come to the restaurant quite a bit. Where would you generally park, and where would you go in?
Go to summer trips near this
You can have an
closet.
hour's parking out in front. And,
Best summer ever.
but I never parked in the student parking lot. It was too crowded. So you
Too
either
many
parked
students.
Yeah.
in our parking lot or across the street in front of the Starbucks in that area.
Okay.
You would go in this entrance down here. This entrance down here.
Okay.
And then sit in the dining room.
And then when you came down to say bring Dan something, or just come to visit, or whatever, where would you generally park and go in then?
A lot of times I wouldn't park at all. A lot of times Dan
Just
would
keep the
leave
car going.
I would just bail out, leave the car and drive. I would bail out, and there was like this circular road that it was just run along the edge of the fence shooting sparks, and I would catch
Jump
it the
back
next time
in.
it comes
Yeah.
around.
Lock for me. I
Like
would
the
find
Minions
where he
movie.
parked. I'd put stuff on a seat. I'd lock his car. I would get back in and go. Other times, Dan would meet me with a cup of coffee because he knows a good bribe. And he would give me the coffee. I'd give him whatever he'd forgotten at the house, and I would not go in.
Dan always knew a good
On the
bribe.
few occasions that I went in, I would come in the student entrance because that was the one that was unlocked.
Okay. Now, you said that you visited the Culinary Institute a couple weeks prior to Dan's death.
Mm-hmm.
Also on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
About 7:30 in the morning.
It could have been.
With cell
Roughly about the
location
time he was
information
murdered.
Said that it was 7:30. Would you agree with that?
I probably would, yeah.
You
Probably.
said that day you were meeting a client and you decided to stop there to use the restroom.
Right?
And you said that Dan had to let you in.
Yeah, because Starbucks won't let you use their bathroom. They're very strict. They won't let you plug in your laptop. They won't let you stay any longer than it takes to drink your coffee. And they won't let you shit up their toilets.
Yes.
Which door was that?
Dan would have let me in
Bam. Right
the
there.
Let the
staff
right one in,
entrance,
Dan.
which is down at the end of that strip,
That 17th
Right.
Side door.
right?
And did you park on the street?
Yes.
And he
No, I
let
left
you
the
in that
car
door?
running, remember?
Yes.
You said you went to the restroom.
Marrying Nancy is like marrying a clean sweep machine, because like those things you have to put in so much money before the claw will have the power to grab a toy, because you know people are greedy. And it just feels like Dan got in on the ground, or not the ground floor, but like nearly the penthouse level, where like Nancy had been getting enough quarters to finally squeeze her hooks hard enough to like fire that gun, and I'll be damned if she didn't do it. Like,
Yeah. So Hamburger, her headphones, she's hard of hearing, so she has to like get in on their audio from their microphones.
it's fucking
hear it.
ridiculous. And why like the free pair of like does the here's the thing, when they not have equipment for hard of hearing people in the courtroom, did they make her bring her own like free pair of earbuds with that she got with her iPhone 7 or whatever?
Yes.
Man, screw Starbucks.
I have
The staff
no
at Panera
idea.
Bread Febreze my shoes and Jay owed me.
Whoa! They Febreze your shoes. I mean, of course, I got the Panera Bread J.O. We've all had that.
you know.
But the Febreze,
Did you go to the ones in that main hallway, or did you
I call
have
it a
to go to the
P.O.
Well, the restrooms
PJ.
are
Panera Job.
here
Right.
and here. So I went to one of them. I have no idea
It's
which
funny
restroom
that
I
he
went
mentioned
you were
Panera
using
Bread
the
because there's a
restroom,
Panera Bread location
whatever he
that's
does,
available
you
for
know.
like lease. So do we have to do that if we get
to.
that
Doing what
place?
his routine
I doubt
was
it.
or whatever.
What did you see him doing when you were in there?
Well, I was in the restroom. I didn't see him doing anything.
I don't know. I was
Part of their
peeing.
corporate structure. If you join Panera Bread, you got to hand out HJs or PJs, Panera Job.
Panera jobs.
It's where you just hollow out an old ciabatta bread roll and just give someone a really crusty job. All crumbs.
I came out of the restroom. He came out of one of the classrooms. He walked me to the door.
To the
And I
edge.
left. there wasn't.
Florida,
We didn't
you
have
guys
social
have
hour.
laws and rights.
He was working. I was borrowing the bathroom. I had things to
I
do.
mean, did
He
you
had
not
things to
want the
do.
JO?
What were the names of the other people that were there?
Do you think that at Panera Bread, if you spend over like $35, they force a JO on you?
Yeah, it's like-
no, you need to take the complimentary JO. You spent over $34.95.
Right.
I didn't see anybody there, but
Florida's weird.
that didn't mean people weren't there. I would have said Yadu was there, and I probably would have said the other instructor was there.
You didn't see or hear anyone, did you?
Not that I recall.
Yeah, it's
That
been
was on
4
May
years.
17th?
I'm not sure.
If the cell site location information put you at the school at 7:30 on May 17th, would you agree with that?
You'd have to.
I'm not sure.
It's cell data.
And the reason why I'm not sure is, and I'm just going to say I'm not sure.
Okay.
Case
You
closed.
agreed it was 2 to 3 weeks prior.
Something like that.
Okay. And you didn't go another time.
No.
Would you consider that a dry run for what would later transpire? Just a question. It's a question.
So, being familiar with this building, you knew there were no cameras in the building, right?
That just never came up in the conversation. I wouldn't have told you if there were cameras in the building or not.
You don't recall telling anybody that you knew there were no cameras in the building?
I may have said that because I may have known more 5 years ago than I know more now.
Huh?
Okay.
Exactly.
I know there was no cameras now because of all these things that have happened.
Yeah, because of the murder and the fact that there weren't any cameras to catch me doing it. I know that now, but I didn't know that before I killed him.
I can't really tell you, although I may have known it, whether there were cameras before that. I just don't remember if I knew that before.
If I were her attorney, I would have advised
What about
heavily
outside the
against the
building?
I
Did you
don't
see any
remember
cameras?
very specific aspects defense.
Once again, I wasn't looking.
What about over at BMW? Or, yeah, what was BMW,
BMW?
prior to the property room? Did you see any cameras over there?
Not looking. I wasn't paying enough attention to have told you that.
Did you see any cameras when in any of the visits that you came down to the Oregon Culinary Institute?
Couldn't tell you.
When did you find out about Mark's death?
Mark?
I can't tell you the exact time, but I can tell you the day. And it was, Mark died on June 22nd.
What were you doing when you got that call?
Mark.
I can't even tell you if it was Susan or Holly who called me. I talked to both of them, and I don't know who told me that. But Sarah, not Susan or Holly, Sarah or Holly, Sarah said, can I?
Grounds relevancy. Yeah, exactly. Who's this? I've watched this a few times. I'm not sure who this Thomas character is.
I come over and I said, sure. But whatever I was doing, it was probably wandering around in a fog anyway. So I have no idea what I was doing.
So did you find out on a phone call or?
Is it better if I sit back a little? Yes, I found out on a phone call.
What about Ed? What were you doing?
I think Cousin Janet was there when we found out about Ed. We both knew he was in bad health.
Seriously, though,
but,
relevancy?
I think Cousin Janet may have gotten the text or a phone call or something from it, so we knew.
Oh, yes, sir. My watermelon wine.
You've seen all the video of you driving around downtown at this point, right?
Yes.
Seen any still photographs from that.
Mm-hmm.
And you testified on direct that it looked like you, looked like your van.
Yeah, if I saw a picture of me in my car, I'd have to say, well, it does look like me. That does look like my car.
Didn't quite say. You do agree that that is you at this point, right?
You know,
What if I just take a sumptuous bite of this here white cake?
I do. I do.
I do declare the summer heat does make you wilt like a flower in a greenhouse.
But I would say that it
In
took me
Oregon.
a while to get to that
In
stage.
Oregon.
But as you sit here today, you agree that it is you driving that van that morning.
Yes, but I also think that
It might have been a gremlin.
only because of the date stamp can I tell you it was that morning.
Right.
Yeah, only because of incontrovertible evidence from multiple impartial sources can I say that, yeah, I guess I was there. So there's that.
Southern Belle and Danny Law would be the best.
You're not challenging that. You're agreeing that that is you.
We have more things to challenge than me driving around in this case.
On the fucking day your husband is murdered as you're driving to his murder or from his murder. I mean, like, that feels pretty relevant. Although,
Yeah.
caveat Scott.
You would agree that you're driving around and in front of the Culinary Institute at the exact time.
Awful hot tubs adjourned with some mint juleps.
No, actually, I don't agree with that.
Sustain.
I was driving around for a full hour
Sustain.
before Dan got murdered. I was down there before Dan ever got to school. Was driving around writing for a full hour.
Nope,
I was
no
only
evidence of
in
that.
that vicinity for 6 minutes, and I don't know that Dan was murdered in that 6 minutes.
I mean, you do.
know, we agree that he was murdered in that time frame, but in terms of when he arrived and shortly thereafter. But in whether
Yeah, you know, Christopher was gunned down in cold blood. Someone was like, well, where were you? And I was like, well, I was driving my car. Like, I don't know. You tell me she's murdered. I don't know if she's murdered or not. I was driving around writing for over an hour.
Somewhere.
I get that it's like a late in life marriage, but you still have to pretend like you fucking like the dude. Jesus.
whether it's not in that 6 minutes or not, I don't know.
I'm sorry, did you just say that you were driving around writing?
Yes, that's what I was doing. Was driving around.
I had my laptop open on the passenger seat. I was typing frantically with my right hand, avoiding the traffic with my left as my credit card slipped from my braless tit.
Writing. I testified
Your
to
Honor,
that
it's all.
yesterday
Oh wait,
that
we already
I
read
would
that.
find a place to park and
Just
I'd jot down
kidding.
ideas.
Know that
Stay.
Sustain.
you were driving.
Yesterday, what I testified for was that when I was sitting in there, I could remember being in the parking lot writing. Didn't I say that yesterday?
No.
No.
Let's go back over.
Okay, let's go back.
Let's go back.
I love every time she has a question to be like, does that make sense or didn't I say that? He's like, no.
This is Brophy.
Mr. Muscles.
What is up,
Hey,
Mr. Muscle? Holy
we
shit.
missed you too. Why do rich girls in love
So
loveless marriage like me? Oh, that's
Yesterday.
weird.
you stayed.
I've never gotten anyone more than like a middle class loveless marriage to take any interest in me.
Did that you remembered a
I
time.
woke up quick at about noon.
in
Just
that
thought I
area.
had Compton
riding.
soon.
There was a white van. There was a man going back and forth between
Hell
the white van and some
yeah.
other
Hell yeah.
location. You assumed that he was working on the van. It was distracting to you,
What?
and that you decided to leave. Do you remember that? Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool, thanks.
Your attorney then asked you if that was on June 2nd.
And I said I did not know.
Right.
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 But
So
you
if
do.
You do not know. You have no memory of driving around downtown on the morning of June 2nd. How can you sit here today and say that I was driving around writing?
It's a good
Because
question.
if I was down there, that's what I was doing. And you're right. I stand corrected that I should have answered the question differently and said I don't know. But I do know, based upon the timestamps, that I was down there.
Thank you, Mr. Muscle.
Thank
So,
you.
Not for nothing, but self-serving plug, meeting of the minds.
Yeah.
an
Channel
hour
on YouTube here.
before
Yep.
Dan died. And that I was only down there for 6 minutes or less from the time.
Roughly the same time I went up to Vernonia or wherever the fuck ever to shoot off 6 bullets, I realized I would need less than 6 minutes to shoot off 3 bullets, which I did at Dan, and then he died. Whoopsie daisy.
That he
Yeah.
climbed into the building until you see me again leaving the area.
Right.
After the
6
murder.
minutes. You just happened to be in front of the Culinary Institute during that time.
No, I wasn't.
Did
I
you
was
see the
in
video where you can see your van
the culinary.
turning off of 17th onto Jefferson at 7:28 a.m.?
I did see that, but that doesn't mean I was in front of the Culinary Institute. That means I would have come up from another street to have gotten there.
But
But you're not seen on any other cameras until that moment.
But as you all testified, if there's a train, you can't see when people cross Madison. So I
one
could
was
have been,
doctor. It's crazy, man. Good to see you guys enjoying each other and doing what you like together. It's pure and refreshing, to be honest.
and what I actually think I was, if this is having thought about it for a while, is
Check
another
me
parking
again.
lot off Madison.
God damn it! Yeah, that's the problem with this prosecuting attorney is like he fucking knows the evidence, right?
Yeah.
That sucks.
At that point. So I can say at 7:28, I definitely turned the van and was driving there, and we all saw it. But I have no idea, and I know I wasn't parked in front of the building, so what I would have been is riding someplace else and coming around. Now, I'm doing this based upon putting stuff back together, not based upon actual memory.
Right? You said you know that you wouldn't have been parked in front of the building, but how would you know that?
Because I would have gone inside. Because I would have said, "Hi, Dan, how are you?" Because
Hi, Dan. Can I take another piss? Remember 2 weeks ago I pissed the dry run?
when Dan came out of the building, he would have said, "Hey, Nancy, how are you?" You know, this is
We like to give each other bloodless, sappy waves and go, "Hey, Dan," and "Hey, Nancy," and then
Very rarely when David worked in an office like full time would I drive by and be
super
like,
slowly honking the horn and waving, and I go, "God damn it, that's my autistic wife." I don't know why they gave her a driver's license. And I would go back to work.
we're not foreigners. We know each other.
How do you know you didn't go in the building?
I know I didn't go in the building because I didn't kill Dan. You know? I know
damn.
that for a fact.
If you have no memory,
Right.
how do you know you didn't go in the building?
and kill him.
You know? I'm reconstructing this, but I'm reconstructing this based upon what I know in my heart. And what I know in my heart is the reason
We're
why
not
I have no
goddamn
memory
Greeks.
is because I was stunned by the fact Dan was
Hello.
dead. And I wouldn't have been stunned if I'd been in the building and shot him.
Well, if you'd planned to shoot him, like, here's the thing. It's not like you came to with a gun in your hand with smoke pouring out of the barrel and Dan's rapidly cooling corpse before you. Like, you'd planned on this. You weren't going to be surprised by a thing you planned.
Right.
Like, if you go, "Hey, I'm going to go to the bathroom," and later you take a piss, like, it won't blow your mind that happened.
God.
Oh, my God.
Man, we confirmed your Walgreens videotape that you picked up your meds and the trash bags.
Yeah.
She's turning red. Well, yeah, she's getting mad.
And, like, because this is the thing, like, Nancy must be like, oh, my God. The however many hours her defense attorney like spent massaging her ego must not feel worth the 3 hours, or probably shakes out to more like 2 hours all the breaks of just a competent man with access to evidence of reality,
Right.
our shared reality.
Yeah. That's rosacea. You got to.
Shoot him.
I don't think
What I'm suggesting and
rosacea
asking
affects a certain race.
Did you just go in the building?
And I don't think
How
it
would you
just
know?
shows
She's
up.
not a rosacea.
Well, if you didn't.
Rosacea American.
I agree
sorry.
that, but he wasn't part of my focus that morning. My focus was on my story and getting it out and getting
was a
it done.
fake gun.
You know, and Dan is at work. You know,
I can't kill him while he's at work. I'd have to wait until he got off the clock. I mean, you can't kill someone on the clock. It's
And-
like hitting a guy with glasses.
Also, like, back to me driving by David's work when he was in the office.
Honking the horn, waving her hand, her glasses askew.
I would never be like, "Hey, I really have to pee. Can I come into your work and go to
because
the
there
bathroom?"
are like fast food establishments and Starbucks literally
Or like,
everywhere. Who
I
wants to
could
use a
drive
bathroom?
home.
Right.
Like, hello. If you can't wait an extra 20 minutes,
you don't.
I don't
Your
know.
wife doesn't drop in to see you at work just because she's
What a
driving
gun.
by. You know, she assumes you're working. I assume Dan is working.
You did it 2 weeks prior.
I did it for a specific purpose, which was to go to the bathroom.
Right. So, Miss Brophy,
Right,
you
with
agree that
specific
it's
purpose
possible
would be
you
murder.
went into the OCI on the morning of June 2nd
To go potty.
to use the bathroom?
Murder.
No, I wouldn't.
Impossible.
Never.
I would say it was impossible.
Even though you have no memory.
Even
Impossible.
though I have no memory of it.
I had 0 urine on June 2nd. 24
No
hours,
output.
no
Nope.
urine. No reaction.
No reaction.
A fucking kid. No
Where did you normally go to get
reaction.
Starbucks?
I can't handle these shorts that just
We're not
come
going to
up.
talk about it. We're not going to talk about it.
If I was going to McMinnville, there's a Starbucks as I drive on 217 that I can hop off on.
Then why
Yes.
don't you do it all the time?
Starbucks is for people who don't know what coffee is. It's for trendy assholes and people who need their laptops charged. If that's not your opinion, you're wrong. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. Starbucks makes bad coffee. This is the way it is. Pineapple goes on
if I was
pizza,
going
Starbucks makes
to,
bad coffee. Scientific facts.
Oregon City. Oregon City.
It's 5 months.
If I was going to Oregon City, what I actually did was I didn't stop for Starbucks because there was a Starbucks in the Fred Meyers.
She was
where I
going to Bug
going,
City.
So I would have gone there.
She likes the president of the
if I
United
was at
States of
home,
America.
There's a Starbucks on Beaverton Hillsdale Highway, right by Jesuit High School. There's a
Heading down to
Starbucks on Hall
Beaverton
where it
later, if you know what I
intersects
mean.
with, right across from the Beaverton Mall. Those are the two I tend to go to
This
occasionally.
is an ad for Starbucks.
There's a
Yes.
small, you can't see it. It's behind the camera, but in this courtroom is a very small Starbucks.
Time and I'm going to sit there and write, then I usually go to
Says
the one
sponsor
at
tubes.
17th and
Sponsored tubes.
17th and Canyon, which is just the other side.
Other side of 26.
Not that Starbucks, the one over the road.
No, the other side of
Or, I'm sorry,
217.
217. That's what I meant. Other side of 217 from your house. Okay, so have you taken a look at your bank records?
It's so funny. If you look at her in her like examining or questioning from her defense attorney, she's so like
Bubbly.
right. She like if I were to take a picture of my child at 5:14 a.m. when he wakes up versus 7 o'clock when it's his bedtime, you will see exactly what Nancy looks like being questioned by her defense attorney and then by the prosecuting attorney. It's like 40 years accumulate on her face in a matter of minutes.
It's true.
I have not.
In preparation for this trial, you haven't seen
Ma'am, I understand you have the area, but
Well,
the
I
gun
saw
was
months
in
and
your
months ago.
purse.
and you've heard testimony that you go to Starbucks quite a bit.
I do.
Quite a
I think
bit.
somebody said almost $1,000 in a year or something like that.
Yeah, I was shocked by that figure too.
I think we all would be.
Stupid bitch.
But there's no charge for Starbucks on the morning of June 2nd.
Yes, but if you go through my bank
I wasn't wearing a
you will see
bra.
there's no charge for
In my
Starbucks a
defense.
lot of days when I know that I had coffee. You know, if I had cash, I could have paid cash. Keep in mind that I don't have my purse with me because
I've got
I'm
the
not carrying a
Starbucks app.
purse. I'm not wearing a bra, so I
Just like Fosco.
don't have
He doesn't
a
wear a
credit
bra
card
when he
with
goes to
me. I don't
Starbucks, I
have,
hear.
my phone with me, so I would have had cash and just given it to him.
Throwing it at her face.
Yeah. Just like
Give
you
me
threw
that
Ryan's
macchiato,
name.
you
Cash over a
bitch.
card.
It makes more sense if I don't have a bra that I don't have a card with me.
And
What?
you do agree you left your phone at home that morning.
I agree I wasn't wearing a bra, so my phone wouldn't have been in my bra.
The one time you remember to leave your phone home is the one time you're caught on every camera between your house and the murder scene.
And I'm sorry. I never.
McDonald's coffee is awesome with an espresso shot. Give me a fucking break with that.
McDonald's coffee isn't bad.
shit. No, fuck that shit. It's terrible.
Weak. I've never put my phone in my bra. Maybe once or twice if I had like a lot of things to carry.
You have to be two things.
Old.
No, you
Even
have
an
to
old
be
person
a
would.
certain subset of American culture. If that is not
Yeah.
evident to you, you don't understand. You have to be a certain subclass of American culture, and you have to have like a huge rack bigger than you have, like obnoxiously big. Like when the bra comes off, they hit the floor big.
I mean, my phone can fit in my bra, but I wouldn't put it there.
But that's the thing. When you have to be, you don't meet the criteria.
Well, guess what? We're having a
Abuse.
Starbucks lunch. Starbucks baristas come into court carrying cups, trays, and assorted snacks. Everyone is fucking jumping and holding their hands together, mouthing, yes.
Biscotti?
Bubes.
Bubes.
I mean, like, mine aren't small, and I can
this
put them
day.
No,
by
but they
phone
have
in
to
it.
be like hilariously big, like the size of my head.
All this bra talk is making me frisky, says Mr. Muscles. Wow.
I mean, hopefully you got some Mrs. Muscles.
That you pay cash at Starbucks.
I pay
Or
cash at
perspective.
Starbucks a fair amount.
Oddly sexy.
Where did the stream get out?
Yeah, we start
In
talking
the
about
morning,
jugs.
If
The,
Dan doesn't bring you coffee,
can't
it would
stop.
be normal
Yeah,
for you to
right.
get up,
The size of the phone
not
does
fully get
matter.
dressed.
maybe you're wearing two big ones.
Too big
Hey, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Regardless of class, right? The people I have seen put cards, wallets, phones in their bras have been, I mean, let's be honest, on the heavier side of humanity, and they have huge jugs because there just is. Breasts are very malleable. They're fat, basically,
Right.
and they can accommodate like the occasional phone or wallet or card. And especially if they're big, you got some big double D's or whatever big cups, and you know you can fit. I've seen ladies put chapstick and keys and phones and cards and wallets and shit
Right.
all up in their rack.
Not to say I haven't done it, because I have in certain circumstances, but they haven't lasted very long. Not because they'd fall out, but because it just get uncomfortable.
Right, or they'll get sweaty or whatever. You have to build up a
I
tolerance.
don't want
but,
sweat in my
I
phone.
like breast.
Don't we all?
And I'm more of a thigh man myself, the dark meat.
Run to Starbucks. Use cash. Use
Hold the other
card, who
beeper,
cares?
a whole white pages. I think it's as
back
thick as a
home.
phone book.
And
Guy to
and-
guy.
Lord of the Rings.
Right. That was normal.
That would be a normal morning
Okay.
on a day when I wasn't committed to doing something else.
When?
But on June 2nd,
What
now
a
you're saying
Juan.
that morning you got up. Well, let's take a step back.
Oh yeah, let's please.
Let's back
The
up a
night
little
way
bit.
too fast.
Your testimony was that you went to sleep late or went to bed late. And when you went to bed, you went up to that attic bedroom,
Yes,
and Dan was already in
Where
bed,
Cyrax
Yes.
was?
and he was asleep.
yes.
Maybe
Oh yeah, Madame in a movie. I've done it like if I'm like when Elliot was smaller and I was carrying him and I didn't want to carry a purse and a diaper bag and stuff, I would put like my wallet or something in my bra.
I want to say it might be a regional thing. However, I don't think it is. I think anybody obnoxious with lower than average standards and a huge rack will carry things and have no problem, because in their mind, they'll be like, oh yeah, like that 20, even though it's sopping wet with titty sweat, like was on my boob. So
Yeah,
you're
you'd
welcome.
like it. Yeah. Yada
Like-
yada. How about
Right,
a
yeah,
pocket?
A pocket,
Right.
a purse. But these are the same people who are like rolling into Walmart at like 8:30 p.m. with no bra and a cigarette hole burned wife beater.
Yeah. No,
So in that case, well, here's the thing. This is the type of demographic where when the bra is on, the accoutrements are stuffed in the top of the bra. When there is no bra, they are under those flabby hangers on the bottom side.
Oh, see, I never put them under my boobs.
No, that's what I'm saying. Because we're a higher class of people. But like no bra, they go lift, slip, flap.
No, like when I was like freshly, like when Elliot was a baby, like I freshly had him and I went
My
somewhere,
balls sweat.
like I wasn't wearing jeans. I was wearing leggings which had no pockets. So I would stick like my wallet on
Right.
the top of my boobs.
So you have the situational offender or the
Right.
habitual offender.
yeah, I
And
would
the
never.
situational offender is more understandable.
I would never slip like Lucy 20s in my boobs.
Yeah, because then you hand it to someone and it's like, I mean, I used to work at fast food. I've been handed my fair share of like tit money, and I go, Jesus Christ.
But even if you put like Lucy dollars in your back pocket, it still feels the same. Like I put like make sure it's all in the.
I agree to disagree.
Yo, I need a minute.
Stop talking about pubes, guys.
Let's talk about boobs.
And the reason you went to bed late was because of a leak. Is that Was that
No.
the reason you went to bed late, or it just happened to be?
No, I frequently went to bed much later than Dan.
I see.
Dan went to bed early because he got up early.
Okay. What time did he go to bed that night?
I don't know.
Okay. What time did you
You're
go
an
to bed?
adult.
I don't know that.
Well, you said it was late. What's your reference point?
Well, it was later than Dan. My reference point was that there was water on the floor.
It was dark out. And there was
I
water.
went to bed after the water was on the floor, so it was pretty late. I mean, water on the floor, a clock doesn't roll around till.
Water.
Come on,
Water on the floor. I was trying to clean it
Whale.
up enough.
Whale.
That, we
The
didn't
water.
step in it in the middle of the night and didn't make it worse.
And which sink are you talking about?
The sink in the bathroom upstairs. So my bedroom is long and narrow. And right off of my bedroom to the left is a bathroom. And as I stepped in there, I could.
We were there, like, just.
Yeah, do you think a guy with 9 acres of beard getting you guys all juiced up over an old lady's cans is like my demo? I mean, I'll take your answers off the air.
We go from carpeting to sheet goods, and I could feel the water under my feet.
My sheet goods, like cakes, etc.
I think it was maybe just a little confusing. There was some testimony about a problem with the kitchen sink. But you're not talking about the kitchen sink.
No, and I thought that was not, I thought it was confusing, but I also thought at that point I was probably making a point rather than pointing to the right sink, just pointing to a sink in general.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, hey,
Fair enough.
hey, fire department. There's a fire in my house in general. It's
Somewhere.
somewhere in here. I can smell it. It might be in one of the rooms, possibly. Send help.
I just want to make sure we're talking about the right sink.
Right.
I just wasn't clear on that. So you're talking
You think
about
the
the
wet
sink with the
bandits
leak
hit up
that was of
Brophy?
concern on June 1st was in the bathroom upstairs.
Choose time.
Okay. So you kind of clean it up. You go to bed late.
Kind of.
It sounds like maybe you woke up at some point in the night.
I wake up every night in the middle of the night.
Do you have a specific recollection of waking up in the middle?
Right, yeah, you're gonna work out where it's pretty quick, but that's the thing. It's like the problem is like Nancy's like, a sink is leaking. I throw towels at one and hoped it was the right one, and then went to bed. I see a problem.
Nope.
And by that you mean like you have to use the restroom or something?
Or, I really don't sleep very well at all, and I particularly don't sleep when I'm wound up. And when I'm working on a story, I'm wound up. So I'm just not a great sleeper anymore.
Not
So
a
when you
world class
wake up-
sleeper.
Was Dan already up?
Yes, Dan was standing.
That's
over
a
the
highly
sink in the
specific
bathroom.
memory
He was
for your
standing in
gas.
the corner of a
Dan, what was he
room.
doing?
He said, why
Jumping
do we have
jacks.
all these towels in the sink? And so that was what we talked about, was the fact that I think there's
We talked about what towels were, what they were made of, the
Yeah.
history of towels, why they were in the sink. I mean, it was a 4-hour conversation,
Right.
the
Your
leak,
Honor.
and I had felt underneath, but I couldn't feel it. On the
I had built underneath. Me and Dan, we had these towels. What's going on, Nancy?
whatever that long pipe's.
Thomas, look away from the screen.
Welcome to Jizz time.
Look at the jizz time. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
And,
baby.
he said, well, I'll get something. He said, I'll get something, or maybe I know he got something.
He
because
said,
I
"I'll
saw it."
get
I'm not sure which way
something.
this is the truth here.
They jizzed on me.
But when I dealt with it later,
Jizz. I heard the jizz since I was in fucking high school.
there was a white bucket underneath. But the last thing I saw him doing was taking the
Jizzing.
wet towels down the stairs.
Yes, you guys know that the space version of jazz that is played in the Star Wars canteen is called jizz, right?
What?
Yeah. George Lucas coined space jazz as jizz, right? Jizz.
Who's
The last
Dan?
time you saw him?
Who's Dan? We were talking about Thomas a little
Talked
while
about a
ago.
leak. He walked downstairs with some wet towels. You stayed in bed.
Oh, no. This is where I got up and threw on a minimum amount of clothes and
Minimum.
No bra.
ran to get coffee.
I ran. Why don't you have coffee at your house?
So while Dan was dealing with the sink, he finally knew where the leak was, and it wasn't just throwing towels into random rooms. And you were like, I'm going to handle the situation by getting coffee.
Your testimony was you don't remember going to get coffee.
I don't remember going to get coffee, but I do remember throwing on some clothes and
Leaving the house.
Yeah, I remember not throwing on a bra,
wasn't
and then
your
it's just a
testimony
blank
yesterday.
until I'm back in bed.
That I didn't throw on clothes and leave the
You said
house?
you got dressed, but you said you didn't have any recollection of leaving to go get coffee.
Well, I think we're splitting hairs here. I don't remember getting
We
coffee.
can agree to disagree on that, but okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Which
And I
is it?
thought I ran away from my
Do you
problems.
remember going to get coffee or don't you?
I do not remember getting coffee. I remember putting on clothes and heading downstairs. That's almost always a prelude to I'm going to get coffee.
And Dan was
Why do you think that when you got clothes and headed downstairs, when you reach the ground floor, let's say, your memory becomes a blank until you're back in bed after Dan is murdered and you get a call from someone telling you he's murdered, and then you show up and say that the Spanish girl cried too much?
was already gone by the time you got downstairs.
Oh, no. Dan would have been
robots.
there for quite a bit longer. I was expecting to get coffee and be back before he was out of the shower and dressed and everything else, you know.
You see him?
No, he's in the basement. He took the wet towels down.
What?
So he's still there, but you didn't see him.
He's still there.
That is my
Now
testimony.
you remember. You went downstairs. You got dressed.
How do you think the jury felt about that? Just like,
You went downstairs.
Okay, and I have a real problem with this, and I have to apologize to you because what I do is I reconstruct based upon what I know would have happened, not what actually happened. So allow me to apologize for the fact that I am misleading you here, and that was not intentional. What I would tell you is I don't remember running into Dan, but if I would have, I think I would have remembered it.
I would have said, "Hi, Dan," and he would have
Hi,
said,
Dan.
"Hi, Nancy," and then we would have gone over the letters of the alphabet, checked out Mr. Hooper's store, and gone about our day.
He's downstairs, I'm assuming, dealing with the towels.
Well, I'm upstairs being a
assuming
lazy bitch,
That most mornings
writing.
I'm right back in bed before he ever leaves.
I'm assuming.
What time did you leave?
I have no idea.
I don't know that I did leave.
I have no idea. What I know is the last time somebody saw me was I was in a video at 7:20.
In a mind palace. Ah! Here's the thing, not for nothing, but like, I read about the concept of a mind palace from the Pendergast series of novels from Lincoln and Child. Started with Relic, and since I had no other pop cultural references to a mind palace, it seemed like since Pendergast is such a cool FBI agent, I was like, whoa. The idea of like keeping memories in a constructed mental structure was like, whoa. But now, like, it's been so played out, and like even Thomas is bringing it up. I go, holy fuck.
Mind palace.
Like, does everybody have a mind palace? Like, is this just a yoked out hole that I was late to the party for and didn't realize that everyone else had already had a turn at it?
Probably.
Yeah, we're check the pen link. We're opening up a meadery. We're gonna be playing jizz.
Jizz time. Local jizz time.
28.
We're gonna change the jizzing of the mind if we can raise $40,000.
Yeah.
So that morning you wake
Even
up,
Thomas.
Even Thomas.
go downstairs, you leave. You don't
Even.
have any recollection as to where you went.
No,
Someone say
You
jizz
don't know how
time.
long you were gone.
I know from your okay
Your memory.
Memory? No,
You have no idea how long you were gone.
no, I have none.
No idea.
You know now that your phone was not with you.
Yes,
When you got back, was Dan still there?
no.
I just want to get to the part where the I keep saying detective, or almost saying, because it's usually what we do.
Yeah.
But I want to get to the part where the prosecuting attorney is like, so you admit that the only parts of the day that your husband was murdered are the most relevant parts of this case. And she has to go,
Yeah.
But I couldn't even tell you. Wait, once again, I'm filling in for blanks. I don't know that Dan was there or not there. What I remember is that I was sitting in bed writing.
Jizz time.
An inflatable tube, man. Yeah, I gotta get snap zoom. Get him a little, maybe a classic. Maybe not classic. Well, yeah, maybe classic. I'll make it like 70s with like a tobacco sunburst. It says jizz time, and he's waving around the flappy, inflatable and tube man, whatever.
Arm
when
flailing
magazine
tube
called.
man.
There's a huge little blank in there.
I know you
Think
jumped
that's an
ahead
investment.
with your lawyer. We're going to go slower.
Okay.
Let's
Thank
slow
God
down.
we'll go slower.
That's all I could ask for.
Pump the
So
brakes
you-
a little bit.
Yeah.
Assume you go get coffee,
Don't feel pressure,
No.
Mr. Muscles.
get home. You don't know if Dan's still there.
I work with someone who, like, we all work remotely essentially, and like every day they're like, "Be right back, gonna get coffee," and I want to be like, "I ain't there. Nobody's there with you. Who gives a fuck? Stop telling me that."
Yeah.
I don't remember if Dan's
Just
still.
rip off a fucking section of packing tape. I've got something I gotta send back east. Got some Snickers bars for the grandkids.
Remember, you do remember some point you're back in bed.
Yes, because Maxine
Yes.
called and I was in bed writing.
And what time
That's
was
what
that?
triggered my memories.
I don't remember that either. Maxine called, what, 9:30, 10 o'clock, somewhere in there?
Sure.
Sure.
You remember that?
Don't
So you
give a
left
fuck.
the house at like 7 something, and she called at 10 or 11, and so you have a solid 3 hours of your day you can't account for?
Yep.
I remember Maxine calling.
And you remember what she told you?
I do.
No.
You remember how you responded?
Yes,
And then you remember calling Dan?
yes,
You remember trying to text Dan?
yes,
You remember
him
murdering
not
Dan.
Answering or responding
Murder
to
says
your
what?
text.
I do.
You then called
time says
Maxine
what?
Borcherding back.
Right,
You remember that conversation?
right,
You got off the phone with her. You called Karen Brophy.
right.
Remember
Right.
that conversation?
I do.
Dan's dead.
You told her that her son was dead, even though you didn't know for sure, and then you thought you could just sort of kickflip that into a joke that you'd tell for years after the fact that he
Yep.
wasn't murdered. Very funny, Nancy. And then
You remember after that you got dressed.
You put
Yes,
a bra on.
well, yes, yes.
You got your
kinda
Grabbed all my stuff.
phone, your
got
stuff,
grabbed.
Went downtown.
Slap these floppy hangers into a couple of boulder holders.
Drove downtown. And when you drove downtown, did you take the normal way that you would drive when you were going to the Culinary Institute?
Did you go the same way you went when you murdered him?
I'm going to say that technically, I don't really remember, but based upon habit, I would have bet money
I
on it.
would say technically I don't really remember, but
I would have bet money on it.
So the same road that we see you coming in on Jefferson earlier in the morning, that's the route that you most likely would have taken.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you came
it's the
in,
easiest way to kill
when you
Dan.
get to that roundabout, did you go down Columbia and turn on 17th?
I have no memory. Memory. Nope. Sorry.
Yes. And I parked.
The girls got into a fight with your
Yeah,
with your
potluck.
man, and now is coming over to smoke.
Tricky here. I want to show you a map.
Like how she covers her face there. Because she couldn't get to her mask.
95. I talked about the roundabout.
Mm-hmm.
When you came in here, did you come down to 17th and park on this corner right here?
I didn't park on the corner. I
Or
parked
in here?
right in there. Yes.
There's like a few spots there.
Well, it's their delivery driveway, and I don't think they think they're spots. I just created a spot.
You didn't come in.
'Cause I'm
drive
Nancy
around
Brophy.
Lincoln and come up to Jefferson, right?
If we're talking about
Roads.
if we're talking about after Maxine called,
Like, here's the thing. This is the same thing that Cyrax did. Not to bring up Lowell Cows again, but Cyrax did when Tibbs was bringing up the minors that he was allegedly talking to. Like, it's a bad sign when someone goes, "Hey, what about the minors you were talking about?" And instead of being like, "I haven't talked about or to any minors," they go, "Which one?" That's the problem. Right?
well, the video shows I'm down there another time.
We're to the point in the morning where you've talked to Maxine, you've talked to Ms.
Right.
Murphy.
Right, and so I would have gone exactly the way you showed and parked like in the park.
So you came down here, turned on 17th.
To
parked
what?
Somewhere in here.
Right,
That potluck in the park.
right.
Okay. And then where did you walk?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Cyrax's dad's wife wasn't even a lawyer. She was a court clerk or something. Am I right? Pff, do what? You know, make
Can
them
I
pay
use
the
the
court
pointer?
costs.
Yes, please.
No, don't.
All right, so there was police tape.
Yoink. Yeah.
This corner right here across the street so that you could not turn either on to 17th or continue on.
How does she
Right
remember
in the
that?
middle of the street was a police car.
She got a great memory when it
I
suits
walked
her.
from here to the police car.
Okay. And you said you interacted with a police officer at that point?
Did?
A male police officer?
Yes.
And he directed you to go somewhere?
To hell.
I said, I'm Nancy Brophy, and he said, wait here. And he said, I want you to wait over there by that building, which that building was the corner of, directly opposite of OCI.
Okay.
And I went, stood over there, and he brought other officers.
Okay. Is that when Officer Wells came and gave you a hug?
When Officer Wells gave me a hug, we had,
Anytime I wanted to start describing like an emotional moment, like when I'm experiencing a genuine point of human contact after a huge tragedy, that's when I want to unfurl my pointer and be like, I was hugged here.
and walked from the corner. I would not
Was he black?
He walked here, hugged me here, intercepted me.
17,
Was he black?
and so we were probably, real frankly,
Probably hugging around this area.
This area right here.
and
OC
they
hug.
had said, we want you to stand back over here so that you're out of the range of the camera from the press. And I said, okay, and I'm crying, and that's when Officer Wells gave me a hug.
You know, like Cyrax does when he only cries off camera. I was crying. I'm not going to cry now because I'm not sad about it as much anymore.
And did she tell you anything?
She told me she would like to be married to a chef.
It's a weird thing to say.
Great.
Did she tell you anything else?
Not
Caveat.
that I
That looks like the Konami code, Maxwell.
And did you speak with the tips volunteer before you went into the van or after?
I did not speak with them before.
Okay.
And I was in the van and they escorted her in.
Do you recall seeing Brian Wilkie?
Since she was an
and-
escort.
Yes.
Okay. Where was he?
Hanging around. Let me get this thing out. He was here intercepting me for a hug around this area.
And there was Brian Wilkie and I know Woody Bailey was with him. There were 2 or 3 other people who were kind of all standing together over here.
In this big lot.
It's like half an acre.
Yeah.
And you recall when the detectives walked up to you and said they wanted to speak with you in the van?
But did you kill Dan? Yeah, I did.
It
Oh,
was in
damn.
that period of time.
And you remember getting in the van?
Yes.
Remember shooting
where
Dan?
the detectives sat?
Yes.
You remember having a conversation that was recorded with them?
Yes.
You,
It was
you
recorded for training purposes and quality control, obviously.
don't necessarily remember all the conversation?
I would tell you it's funny, but I've heard that tape enough that I can tell you what was on the tape.
I played on my
Anything
Walkman.
inaccurate that you were reporting to the police?
Not intentionally.
Not what I asked.
Whoopsie.
When the police said to me, "Where were you this morning?" I told them where
You know,
I
this
was.
lady could have wrapped this whole thing up hours ago. She said Libyans did it.
It's the Libyans!
And I told him where I was based
Simpsons
upon the
did
fact
it.
that when Maxine called me,
The
that's where I was.
Libyans.
In fact, what you told the police were
Yeah, my husband was murdered by time-traveling Libyans that killed also Doc Brown.
you were in bed.
Okay.
You woke up when Dan came upstairs.
Yes.
That he came upstairs to take a shower.
Yes.
And a shit.
That after he got out of the shower,
Not what I
you
asked.
discussed the leak.
He took a leak.
Told him after the shower. I just
Well, maybe, I don't know that you specified exactly when, but,
Well, we're on veracity
Marty.
here, so we need to be accurate.
well, you tell me.
7 years, Marty. If that's the
I don't think I
reference.
told him it was after the shower.
Marty, that's not Robert.
I did.
It's
I
not
think
music fits Marty. Marty McFly, I get it. I'm locked
my
in.
memory is that I don't remember if he'd taken a shower or not. That's
7 years, Marty. Christ.
I'm surprised you said that.
Okay, but you told the police that.
You could have been.
Dan, who's that?
Who's Dan?
I've heard
Remember
that.
Thomas.
You told them that you took a shower. Sorry, that
Gross.
Mr. Brophy took a shower.
I think I told him he came upstairs to take a shower. I don't think I told him he took a shower.
You said
You
that,
told me laid pipe,
Doc.
Nancy.
that after the shower he got dressed and left. Do you remember that?
No. But I may have said it.
And you said that he left at 7:05 to 7:10ish. Remember that?
Yes, but that was based upon when he always left.
Okay. but you just testified to something completely different.
So,
Here's the thing.
up
is
yours.
that- no, I'm still on the same
Don't
thing.
take my line, bitch. Here's the thing, my ass. Here's the
Oh
thing.
shit!
Fuck
I
you.
testified to the fact that I was trying to.
You mean to tell me you built a murder weapon out of a DeLorean?
Idea of what Dan did in the morning. I didn't think.
You don't have to build a DeLorean to Murdo. You just run over someone at less than 88 miles an hour.
This whole thing had a damn thing to do with me. I thought it had to do with what was
I read
what
books.
Can you do what can you tell us to help us so we know what his routine is?
So what I did was make a bunch of guesses and half-assed predictions that actually didn't help because I believed I didn't kill him. There was a caveat.
Was
Whoa,
what you
settle
told the
down
police
there,
in-
Daryl.
It could have been
With a
but At
caveat.
that point, I was screaming in my brain.
Not out
Dan
loud.
is dead. Dan is dead. And if I was inaccurate, it was not to mislead them.
What?
She was screaming in her head. It's a party in her head.
What?
I remember going into quite a bit of detail with the detectives, even regarding Dan's accident the prior week when he cut his hand.
And oddly, his
I
wiener.
could've, yes.
Oh,
Heard that on the tape, though.
Looks like you spent 25 minutes of the investigator's time speaking about a Jizz Time album.
I wonder what she's looking at there.
Huh?
The stenographer.
Defense, help me!
Look at that
Seen
smirk.
the
God, I
video.
want to just punch her in the
Heard the
face.
testimony.
Jizz Time.
You would agree that the critical moments
Here we go.
that you've been asked about, your responses have been you don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Critical moments that I have been asked about. My response, I don't remember, is the most accurate thing I can tell you.
It's accurate as hell.
Yeah.
Right, but at the critical moments that you
Right. So, here's the thing, Nancy. The only part of that day, the day your husband was brutally murdered in cold blood at the place he loved to go to, those are the moments you don't remember, and you don't find that at least a little suspicious.
This is suspicious.
You didn't ask anybody about guns.
were there in the area at the same time that someone happens to be shooting your husband
Agreed.
within a 6-minute window with the exact type of gun that you own
So,
and is now mysteriously missing.
objection, coincidence. That fucking little smirk that she
I
gives
can't
is like, that's what I'm
handle-
telling you, bitch. Like, now read one of my books. I'm a fucking suspense panty wetter.
I want to read one just to see how it is.
Your version of what
I've read a
happened.
lot of
That is
those,
not my
and
version. The only thing
I want to
know
see if
for
it
is I did
fits
not
the
kill Dan.
bill.
That's the thing, Thomas. She didn't even lose a whole gun. She only lost the sliding barrel. She
Yeah.
only lost the part of the gun that would definitively tie her to the murder. That's the problem.
It should be, why am I under arrest?
Arrested?
Can I smoke in here?
And I have no problem with that. I know I didn't kill Dan with the gun that was put together, the gun that wasn't put together, or the slide that we can't
I
find.
believed I never killed him.
But, you know, when your husband dies, everything around you grinds to a halt.
And you get
when I
angry
told
as
the
the prosecuting attorney.
The police said,
I mean, not
this
gonna
is
lie.
a death notification.
I'd get pretty
wasn't a
mad
death
if I
notification.
was
It was an
if you died, got murdered by somebody, and it wasn't me. I'd get pretty mad at the
Right.
prosecutor.
But there'd be a healthy mix of like anger and sadness because
Right.
you'd have to deal with like maybe you've been in a situation where somebody's accused you of something and everybody just takes it for granted until you have to break your back to prove that you're not.
Right.
Yeah, it sucks, but like that's the problem is like you don't know until you know. And that's the thing with Nancy is like here in hindsight, we're playing the greatest hits and like I would have cut this, and this. But in the act, they didn't necessarily, or at least they didn't know what would stick against the wall.
Yeah.
In-depth interview, as seen by the fact you're bringing up every moment of it as we're coming back. And at death notification, they would have said, we can see you're upset.
You
Let us
law district
schedule an
attorney.
appointment. Let us come back and see you this afternoon. Let us do something different. Instead, they hammered away at me with questions. Hammer, hammer, hammer. And I can tell you this, I tried to help them the absolute best I could.
I was labeling evidence for the police's benefit. I mean, you remember.
Yeah.
I tried to give them what I knew was his routine. I tried to help them in any way I could.
Here's the thing: if I get murdered, or let's broaden it, right? Like, let's say I go missing, I'm not dead, but maybe presumed dead if you don't find me. And Chris is like, well, I don't know where he is, but I can construct a general idea of where he would have existed, a la the Northern Hemisphere. I'd be like, this is fucked.
Question.
The fact
Wasted.
that you have managed to construct a case against me out of that is you've constructed a case, but I think your case is held together with, real frankly, Band-Aids. You know.
Frankly.
Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think I'm done. Probably more than I want to be.
I shouldn't have said that.
I wouldn't have tagged that with more than I want to be.
Yeah, no.
Isn't it possible with your memory problems of the morning?
Now she's going to start playing Marcel Marceau and be like, oh, goodness gracious, I'm so embarrassed that I'm a mime.
That you actually went into the building and shot your husband, and you just don't remember.
She is big
No, it
mad.
is not.
That is
No,
what
it is
happened.
not, because the one thing I knew I had a strong thing is the last time I saw Dan. I see Dan every day. I talk to him every day. This is not a man I
I
would
see him every night in my dreams in the face of every mustachioed child.
have shot because I had a memory issue. It seems to me like if I had shot him, I would know every detail.
Right, but here's the thing. If you did know every detail, you would definitely not recite them when you are the one the aim is being blamed at.
Right.
So, Nancy, it's kind of funny that, like, you're saying if I did kill him, I would tell you, but would you?
You know,
Shot?
I could have told you all sorts
What's
of things
that?
was true. I did not shoot my
He's dead, wrapped in plastic.
husband, and I don't know even how to defend myself against the truth.
She's like 87. Come on. Oh, P.S. Shit, I don't know how to defend myself against the truth. I feel like that is the perfect outro for any... I can't think of a better way to end a cross-examination, an interrogation, or anything. Where, like, if I could surmise any amount of time that I spend with a suspected criminal, and if I could have them at the end be like, I don't even know how to defend myself against the truth, I would be like, I'm going to call it a night. That's what we're doing.
She's only 71.
Yeah, she's
I think.
hella old, but she's going to die in prison. Because
Oh, yeah.
even if she got like
life.
a 10-year sentence, she's going to be gone. So, and what's life? 8 years? Whatever. So, yeah, she definitely killed Dan. It's very sad. He was an actual pillar of the community that, like, people en masse liked.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. Being a human is complicated. You can be book smart, but not people smart. And you can be a pillar of the community. You can be a stand-up guy. You can be nice, caring, compassionate. But it might not stop you from being blinded by whatever it is that kept Dan from seeing Nancy's toxic traits.
Right.
It might just be because you say, well, we all make allowances for each other. Well, because of X, I can accept Y.
And
But
maybe
that's what
he
we are.
wasn't around her as much as other people.
I mean, who knows? That's the thing. I feel like I could be in Dan's shoes because, like Dan, where he doesn't know what money is in his bank account sometimes. I don't know how this household is run. I don't know if we're rich or poor or any of that. I leave that to Krista because that's her bag. But I wouldn't be like, hey, are we poor? And are you going to murder me? Because they wouldn't cross your mind, right? Because if Krista is burning through money we don't have and we're in to our necks and beyond in debt, I won't know until I'm dead. But I assume that's not happening because most of us aren't doing that to each other.
Right.
It just seems like, and also like these late in the game marriages always seem a little more dicey than normal. Like if you get married 20, 30, 40s, you go, okay, well, some people were late bloomers and some people popped early. Fine. But like by marriage 3, you go, well, maybe this time it'll work. I would be like, maybe I'll keep my finances a secret for a long time just to make sure I don't get murdered.
Yeah. Tom says, you say he's a pillar of the community, but may I posit that the community could be a bunch of dicks? Remember the town in Footloose?
That's the thing. I'm only saying that because we have...
There's tons of
two sides.
Yeah.
We have the people who knew Dan going, he was great. And then we have the people who knew Nancy being like, I don't know about Nancy. And we also have Nancy here
being
a fucking douche. It's not his word versus her word. It's like, I mean, we're all here. We see what's happened.
Yeah.
It's fucked. She's a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Hate her. I
Anyway.
can't stand her. And I'm glad we finally got through her, but I still can't stand her.
She was less annoying to me than Daryl Brooks, only because like he was stupid and thought he was smart, whereas Nancy is of average intelligence who thinks she's a genius, and I don't know why the second is more offensive than the first.
Well, this to me just like, I think it hits too close to home for me with this kind of personality type between like our families, but Daryl Brooks, I hated him, but she just
right, because Daryl Brooks
was a terrible person and killed a lot of people.
Daryl Brooks was a pattern of abuse that blew to a head, whereas Nancy Brophy was just like your Victorian poisoner, where she just sort of goes in, and since the times are the times, they go, whoa, women don't commit murder. It's just a coincidence their fourth husband died or whatever.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Dee Dee.
Thanks, Dee Dee. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you all. Thanks for showing up, especially Jameson there. He's up on the board from winning our game. We'll be back Wednesday with more opportunities to get yourself up there, naming lights.
You know you wanna.
Or maybe you want to see me rip it down and stomp on it like I did for Ryan Maxwell.
Check out the short.
What a piece of, what a jizz time, right? If you win, I might put jizz time up there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, why not?
I mean, we might have to make the I like an apostrophe because I don't know what YouTube's guidelines are. It's not like I'm making money off.
Just cover the I with a sticker.
Guys, it's jizz time. Anyway, we will catch you later. Thank you for showing up for this episode. I appreciate it. Thank you, Hamburger. Thank you, Mr. Muscles. We have like a bunch of people coming out of the woodwork, and I appreciate the hell out of that.
It's been awesome.
I love you guys. We will see you next time, which will be Wednesday-ish, or if you want to come back on Friday, we can do that too. Bye.
Bye.
Or they try to
Fistful of Podcasts Radio.